And we're singing. We're singing. Time to talk. Beauty and the Bitch.
And then I said to her, those aren't buoys. Anyway, and then I said to her, those aren't buoys, those are my breath. Okay, does anyone else hear that? Am I alone?
Doesn't sound like anything to me.
Oh, shit. Welcome back, my friend, to another edition of Beauty and the Bitch. My name is Mick.
And I'm Morgan.
And today we were going to talk about Jumanji, but I think there's someone, like, caught in my walls.
Well, that is definitely TBD, what's inside those walls, but I think we should just move on and do the podcast.
Okay, but I'm scared, though. I'm just telling you. I feel unsafe.
Well, you should never feel safe at the Beauty and the Bitch podcast.
Preach.
And today we have a special guest joining us, our very good friend Jamie.
Hi there, I'm a special friend.
He's special in so many ways, we can't even get into it.
Hooray!
But he is here today. Oh, I spilled my wine. As par for the course. Oh. And my only winter fucking sweater.
I know, and it's such a cute sweater.
Well, I'm still gonna wear it, baby.
Now it looks like you slaughtered a pig.
Well, that's also par for the course. So today, Jamie, we have asked you to be here because of why? What is your relation to the subject matter?
Well, so there's a new Jumanji movie coming out, and it features Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, fascinating.
Who I am a pretty big fan of, and will see pretty much anything is in. So I figured I would give my expertise as a rock expert. As I said to you, I'm always up for a little rock talk.
Yeah, a little rock talk in like any format. Doesn't even have to be about the person.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love talking about minerals
and crack cocaine.
Exactly. Rock and roll.
Pretty
any kind
much
of rock.
all of it. Yeah. So you're a great resource for that. So we're excited to talk about Jumanji with you. Have you got a chance to rewatch the original anytime recently?
I haven't watched the original recently, and I don't know if I've seen it since I was a child.
Oh damn! So you got that mad nostalgia memory.
Right, so it's definitely one of those things where it is in the, like, 1994 Robin Williams pantheon of films where it's like, I have a very clear memory of...
He was crushing it.
Yeah, like, that was, like, the height of his game. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely one of those things where that movie was part of that pantheon of, like, mid-90s Robin Williams being the king of, like, children's movies and so forth.
You know... He's one of those people where, like, we have all these, like, sex scandals and different things coming out. Like, how heartbreaking... I'm not trying to put this on the universe. But, like, he would be somebody to me that would be devastating. Like, people were really upset about Bill Cosby, but I was just kind of like, whatever.
He was slightly... Bill Cosby was slightly before
weird sex stuff is always bad, but Bill Cosby had no special attachment in my heart, like Robin Williams does. So
you're right.
I hope he's pure.
Well, you know what? He passed away, so it's good. He passed away before they could find any dirt on him.
And now it's all buried deep.
And that's the way I want it, because I've had too many people be showing me their nasty buttholes, and I'm not into it.
Like Kevin Spacey.
Like Kevin Spacey, who I almost cried when I found out.
You have to ask someone to show you their dirty butthole before you want to see it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, sometimes they do send pictures of dirty buttholes to our Beauty and the Bitch Gmail web or address. But
and please quit that.
No, continue. We love that.
Making friends.
Well, that
Special
brings
friends.
us to our next question, Jamie. We like to ask our guests, what's your favorite cuss word? Is it dirty butthole? Because I think that's mixed.
You're actually close. I knew this was one of the questions that might pop up. I think my favorite curse word right now is booty.
Booty?
Like,
booty.
Which is
Do your kids say that?
No, they don't. But like... And specifically, and this is a little appropriative of me, but like the way that like Black Twitter uses it, of like, if something sucks, it's just booty. Like, I think that's hilarious, and I love it.
I do that with the word trash. Like, everything's trash.
Everything's trash, right. Yeah,
Booty's
so yeah.
funny.
Yeah, booty or butt. Balls is another big one.
Oh, it's a good one.
Basically, any anatomy that has a hard B in it, and you can just really
there.
hit that B. I'm sure my plosives are awesome right now. But booty.
What about, like, bronchial tubes?
I've not heard that one. Like, like that girl's so bronchi right now.
Yes, bronchi!
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like you're saying she has, like, a long-ass neck.
I'm into that. I love a swan-like neck.
I saw someone with a really long neck the other day, and it freaked me out. It was like waiting at a bus stop, and I nearly passed out from fear.
Oh, man. I think we've all been there. Yeah. That's intense. Okay, booty. I love it. Our next question, what kind of content do you like to consume? Like, what's your favorite media to, like, take information in, and, like, what do you do generally?
So, it's a lot of different things at a lot of different times. Like, right now, I'm been playing a lot of video games. One of the, like, pathways that got me here is I watch a lot of wrestling, an obscene amount of wrestling, partially because the different companies that are doing wrestling right now, primarily WWE, put out a lot of content on a weekly basis. Like,
is that like a special channel or like?
There's the WWE Network, which has everything they've ever put out available, which is It's a crazy deal because you basically get it for $10. Here's my WWE ad right here. So like for $10 a month, you can see the entire catalog of all their stuff, plus all these companies that they've bought over time, and it's just an incredible wealth. But in addition to that, on Hulu. I think it's primarily on Hulu. They put out also all this original content every week. So, like, they have 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, and all these other shows. So, like, there's just a lot of wrestling right now. And I'm kind of off and on. Unfortunately, my wife's not a big fan, so I kind of have to, like, watch when I can.
Yeah.
At lunch breaks and that kind of thing. So.
Well, you've got people. You've got Alan and stuff.
Right. I've got friends who are definitely deep in it with me.
Yeah. I will say I really enjoyed, I think it was like 2 years ago, I came over to watch WrestleMania with you guys the year that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came in with that girl that's like a UFC fighter.
Oh, yeah, he had a little section with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. That... the whole thing I was just completely mesmerized by, and I was instantly like, I understand the appeal. Right. I'm here for it.
There's a spectacle to it that is very appealing, especially at WrestleMania.
Who was that, like, Russian lady?
Lana, the ravishing Russian?
I was into her. She had mad appeal for me.
I don't want to break the illusion. She's actually from Orlando.
No. That can't be true. She's ravishing, though. So, do they still do the cage matches where they hit people with things and people bleed? Yeah. Is that still...
Well, so yes and no. So there definitely still are, like, sort of these big grudge matches where, like, they'll be in a steel cage or they're like, anything goes. But WWE has this big, specifically, WWE has this big push right now. It's like, we want to keep everything PG. So when they have these matches, like, there's no blood, and, like, it only goes so far. So it's one of those things where, like, in the 90s, when we were, like, having the Attitude Era and everything was extreme, as everything was in the 90s, everything was dialed to 11. So, like, then it was like, like, every match, it would be, like, steel chairs flying from the ceiling, and blood gushing down everyone's face. But it's been a while since that's been WWE's brand specifically.
So what you're telling me is The Undertaker hasn't recently picked someone up and broken their back over his knee, like Bane? Because I used to love that. Undertaker was my boy.
Yeah. He looks
was that his name?
Decrepit and scary.
He just retired, basically.
I was going to ask if there was anyone from our childhood who was still doing it. Man, he was like 60 or something, right?
He just retired at WrestleMania a couple months ago now.
Wow.
So,
I hope he's proud of his life, because that man did stuff that I could never do.
Yeah.
And so, so Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got his start in wrestling? He has, like, a wrestling family?
Yes. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is part of what's called the Samoan family.
That's why he's got those sweet-ass tats?
Right, because he is also Samoan. But yes, he comes from a long lineage of wrestlers, both before and after him, who are in this one dynasty family that are, like, a famous wrestling family from the Samoan Islands. He is far and away probably the most successful or the most noteworthy, and we'll kind of get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, the thing that's remarkable about Dwayne is that he went from... We're on first name basis. He went from being, like, one of the top, like, 5 wrestlers of all time, I would argue, to being a movie star in such a way that my wife, until recently, didn't even know that he used to be a wrestler.
Damn.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, he's transcended...
his career is doing just fine.
Like, because you have, like, in the past you'd have these crossover stars like Roddy Piper or Hulk Hogan, but they would still be the wrestler who acted.
Roddy Piper. Was he in, like, bad action movies?
Yeah, well, bad is relative. He was in that movie They Live, where he puts on the glasses and, like, billboards are shown to be, like, propaganda.
Yeah.
That's a really cool movie, but it's pretty low budget. It's a John Carpenter joint.
I think they covered that on How Did This Get Made.
Yeah.
I think that's why I know it.
So like, you have these other actors, or, like, people like Ric Flair, who are famous as wrestlers, but didn't really break out beyond that. But it is a thing where he is an action star almost in spite of being a famous wrestler.
Right.
It's like he has these two iconic careers now that are in tandem with each other rather than one really living off of the other.
Yeah.
Because
he's awesome.
Beginning of his career as a movie star was kind of rocky. You know, like he had a big like debut acting role in The Mummy Returns, but that movie kind of stinks. And
that's right.
And like so, like he had like kind of a couple movies where they were trying to make him be a big deal, and it just didn't work out. And so he kind of like faded away. And then I would say probably with like Fast 5 became the biggest action movie star.
Since then, he's been in like fucking everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we're definitely going to get back to Dwayne The Rock Johnson because I have so many questions and feelings. We have one final question for you.
It's the most important question.
All right, take it away, Mickey.
Oh, I get to do it.
Do it.
Oh. So,
Jamie, remember we were friends first.
Don't remember that. You stop trying to bias him.
It was just like a casual, like,
reminder. Name of the show is Beauty and the Bitch, right? So, like, who's the beauty? No big deal.
I think the beauty are the friends that we made along the way.
Oh my fucking
These
God.
motherfuckers are coming in ready for this. This is wrong.
I'm gonna break a chair on your back. I've been watching wrestling.
Steel cage match in the bedroom right now.
Yeah, but I need like 5 minutes because like I pulled like my hamstring last week.
Oh, baby. Yes. Okay, we'll give you 5 minutes and we're gonna kick his ass.
Hooray.
Well, in the meantime, while we wait for that, why don't we just dive right into a little bit of Jumanji, the original 1995 movie, before we talk about the new movie Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which I have a lot of feelings about that title and that trailer and everything we know about it. Okay, so the old Jumanji, starring Robin Williams, featuring an adorable and precious Kirsten Dunst, who was like totally amazing, proud of her, was set in the year 1995.
It was a golden age.
It was. How old were you in 1995?
Oh,
7, 8?
I was born in 1996, so I was negative
God.
1 year old.
I feel like you get younger
8.
and younger.
I know, it doesn't work.
So we were like 8-ish.
I was 8, yeah.
Yeah. Jamie?
Sorry, 96?
95.
95? I am 11.
11. So this movie was made for us.
Right, yeah, we were definitely in the age
demographic.
demographic. Yeah, for sure.
I remember being like slightly scared of it at first when I had first seen it. It was just kind of like, it was scary.
There are tons of scary parts in that movie. And I'm actually really excited, Jamie, that you haven't rewatched it. That's actually perfect because we both recently rewatched it. So I'm really interested throughout this discussion to see, like, did it hit you that way?
Iconic,
do you remember that there?
Right.
But I have to tell you, from the very beginning, when those drums are beaten out of the mud.
Did you watch it with all the lights off?
No, I didn't. But had I probably would have shat myself. To be honest, I shat myself anyway, but it really wasn't connected to the movie.
That's just a general incontinence.
Yeah, it's just a problem I have, man. But I remember being I am very introverted, so loud noise. I am one of those ridiculous people that loud noises frighten me very badly. And the drums in Jumanji.
Ooh, it got you, girl.
First, when old Alan Parrish finds the box, right? He pulls it out and finds Jumanji. But second, when they're in that damn attic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and you hear the drums first, even before that, when the original kids from, like, 1869. Yeah. First of all, parents didn't know they took a horse and carriage out to the woods to bury a girl.
That's not allowed.
And they stole a trunk. Some kid got beat over that. And then they're just, like, burying the trunk, and the one little kid is like, I hear the drums. It's very scary. And his big brother's like, it's fine. Let's leave it. It's fine. And they just, like, abandon it, which calls, like, so many things to question. So in 1869, these kids played this game. Apparently, we didn't see them. So they had all these horrible things happening to them in 1869, which in 1995 would be confusing enough, but in the 1800s, you'd be like, this is pure witchcraft. Do you think you would just bury it? Or, like, set that motherfucker on fire? Like, I feel like what they did was not the choice I would make.
Well, my question, too, is, did they finish the game? Or did they get half? Well, not necessarily, because they might have got halfway through and been like, girl, I can't handle it, just throw it away. Everybody's dead.
Died or something?
I bet that they lived at the Roanoke colony, and that is what happened to Roanoke is Jumanji.
Fuck.
Now, that's logic in history.
Wow.
Your timeline's a little messed up, but I'll go with you here.
Jamie thinks he knows everything.
Sorry.
Also, wasn't it? Where was it set? It was in
in Massachusetts or something.
No, it was in. I thought I wrote it down.
It's somewhere in New England. It's got to be Maine.
It is in New England. Lord, I didn't write it down.
I know it's not New Jersey because
it's in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
One of those.
That's
news.
close-ish. Live free or die. That's their slogan. So, anyways, obviously we had feelings about Jumanji, but I found it shocking when I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes review what it got.
No.
48%. 48%.
Though I think I saw somewhere that it's kind of become more considered a classic after the fact. That kind of like in its time it wasn't as respected.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but
Robert Williams?
Well, and it was crazy because I was also looking this up. So like it's on some list where it's like 44 of the top 100 like family films of all time.
Yeah.
But like it's wedged between two movies, and one of them is Spider-Man, which I don't even necessarily would consider like a family film. So I need to see this
also
list.
starring Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, right. Maybe it's the top 100 films starring
It's
Kirsten
like
Dunst.
Interview with the Vampire, Jumanji, and Spider-Man. It's a great family trilogy.
Really great. Yeah, exactly. Bring the whole family around.
I just had this
for everyone.
awful image of me trying to watch Interview with a Vampire with my mom and grandma. That would have been the worst idea.
Aaron said he went to the movies with his grandma and mom to see The Birdcage because they didn't know what that was about.
My sister went with her elderly Jewish in-laws to go see Black Swan.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah, that's another.
That's got lady sex.
One. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah, not to mention the other things, for sure. So I was kind of shocked about that, but I mean, I just feel like, could I go on Rotten Tomatoes now and we could like do a movement and bring that score up? It's just like unfortunate.
Yeah, because it takes nothing to get on Rotten Tomatoes. So if you just got all your blogger friends,
sure,
to go on and go rate it.
Yeah.
Also, Zathura was like a quasi, like in the world of Jumanji movie that happened like 10 years later, 2005. And that movie fucking got 75%
and
on
that's
Rotten
some
Tomatoes.
bullshit.
And that's a shit
because that movie is not good.
Yeah. It's
no offense.
starring Kristen Stewart, so you know it's not good.
I like Zathura quite a bit, but that's okay.
You like it better than Jumanji?
I think it is a better directed film than Jumanji. So Zathura is directly responsible for, this is a weird tangent.
Dax Shepard?
Yeah, for the
they created
the national nightmare that we're in right now, that is Dax Shepard. Is directly responsible for, and I would argue, the quality of the current Marvel films. Now stick with me.
Okay.
Jon Favreau directed that movie. Zathura,
he did.
And that's why he said cut his teeth to make him feel confident enough to make Iron Man.
I was a fan of Chef.
Which then in turn created the template for all the Marvel movies.
Okay, well, you know what? That does make me like it quite a lot more. Not more than Jumanji.
No. And it's totally fair. It's just one of those things where, like, that movie is just so meticulously made in a way that I really appreciate. Whereas Jumanji is this big, bombastic thing that is definitely, like, a spectacle in a way that I think that movie is not. So I could see both ways how that could go. So
Zathura is gorgeous, though.
Yeah,
I mean, they both are.
movie. Yeah.
But, I mean, oh my gosh, all that space stuff. And I think all of the special effects in that have aged really well. I thought the plot was very lackluster, but it was fun to watch.
Exactly.
I will say that, and gorgeous. So,
Yeah.
I'll give it its due. Okay. I'm still shocked, though.
I think that Jumanji and Robin Williams' character has this, like, pathos to it that's really hard to deny. This idea of this person who's stuck in this game for 20 years, has the mentality of a child still because he's never had the opportunity to grow up, and then is finally able to escape. It's such a huge...
I kind of find it deeply horrifying that at the end of the movie, they go back to being children, so they have lived, especially for like Bonnie Hunt had like the blonde lady character, whatever her name was, she had Sarah. Her name was Sarah.
She had lived like a normal adult life.
But not even normal. She was like totally crazy and became like a weird psychic person, and then she had to like go back and do it again. Like, there's no way she was a balanced person.
It's very Lion Witch in the Wardrobe of like at the end where it's like we're children, but we've had this whole adult life.
Okay, so I get that it would be kind of traumatic to have to relive all of that life and stuff.
It just like is crazy. Like, they have to just start all over. It's like insane. It's insane.
Well, and something I know that you were talking about, we were talking about this at some point in our lives, and you were saying, like, she's already become, like, a sexually active adult.
Yeah,
and like,
she's definitely out there fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, maybe he was in a jungle. I don't want to judge what he was doing, but there was definitely a human in the jungle because that's where the
Van Pelt
came from. So there might be some ladies there, or maybe he's in. I don't want to judge him, but she's lived her whole life and she has to go back to being a child.
Well, I will tell you, though, I do not think that they're having sex, even though they're obviously in love, because
the children?
Yeah, the young children, after they return at the end of the movie, because young Sarah has a really cute sense of style, but she has a face like a pork chop, and that's just a fact.
I like pork chops.
Well, you can fry up her face and you can eat it then. Oh, but by the way, I wanted to say, speaking of that whole, like, starting over thing, I've got this scheme for immortality, okay? Here's the scheme.
Go on.
Okay? You get the Jumanji game. Should be easy. Seems like it shows up just everywhere. No problem there. And then you take your Jumanji game out to the middle of a field, right? Where nothing you love is going to be destroyed. You roll the dice once. Skeeters come out. Something crazy comes out. Whatever. You run the hell away. You live your whole life. And then when you're about 50, 60, however old you want to be, older.
When things start breaking.
When things start breaking, yes.
Sooner than later.
You bring your little significant other, whoever played with you, into a panic room, close the door, and then real fast you roll through the rest of those dice, so then you go back to being a child. And you do that ad nauseum, live in every country on Earth for your lifetime, and then when you're tired, you just don't continue the game and you die. Or you let that lion eat you.
Ooh, and you could get mad college scholarships because you could learn everything, get a shit ton of student loans, don't pay any of it. Don't even worry about that. You're going to start over.
You get all those credit cards.
You get like a fucking 36 on your ACT. All right.
So, see.
So, essentially, this is a great life plan.
That's what I'm saying. These dumb kids.
When you don't pay your student loans and they ask you why, tell them you're looking for Jumanji.
Yeah, you tell. Well, no. You have to have already started Jumanji. You have to start as a child.
But if you start, side plan. If you start later, whatever, but you learn some like lottery numbers or something, it's still a surefire way to pay your debt.
It's like Back to the Future. Was that 2?
Wait, I don't think Jumanji has time travel in it.
No, it doesn't. But in Back to the Future 2, old Biff is all rich because he knew that jams. And I'm saying the jams.
Listen, I have like a real question. Okay, so Robin Williams comes back from the jungle, whatever, and then there's these kids, Kirsten Dunst and that other kid, and he wants to see them later in life, and so he later hires like her dad, who's in advertising. Number one, how did he know her dad's name? When he went back to be a child, there definitely wasn't like future Google, like, I'll just Google this person and see who they are in the future and get in touch with them. It's very unclear how he found them because he didn't ask a lot of questions on camera. So are we led to believe, like, off camera, their children are just like telling him their home address,
social security numbers?
Right. Like, how did he find them? He can't be that smart.
I mean, I just assumed he tried really hard. That's kind of the whole thing. It's like, he tried.
Morgan, have you heard of The Secret? If you really want something, it comes to you.
You mean like that religion thing?
Religion is a loose term.
Philosophy,
yeah, like magical thinking.
It's like,
religion, I guess.
But only as the butt of a joke.
Right, yeah. Like this, what's happening right now. Yeah.
Oh, that was a joke.
Oh.
Shame.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding, Jamie. You're so funny.
I only have one, sect of magical thinking that I believe.
Is it wrestling?
Yes. It's still real to me, damn it.
I have another real life question. So, Alan Parrish, also, before he disappeared into the Jumanji board and then little Sarah grew up to be a crazy person, he had an argument with his parents about boarding school because they wanted him to go to boarding school. Well, his dad did. His mom was indifferent and wasted.
Can I just say, we're taking you there next Sunday!
What a dick, right?
It's one of the best lines in the whole... Why would you scream that way? Anyway, go ahead.
But, he didn't want to go to boarding school. But my question is, boarding school, awesome or horrible? Because... I have always lived a fantasy reading, because a lot of British kids in fantasy novels go to boarding school, and it sounds fucking awesome.
It's like college, but before.
Right? But then I guess if you, like, love your family or whatever, like, you don't get to be with them, so that sucks. But, like, what do you think? Your opinion, awesome or horrible?
Well, if my father owned the, like, lifeblood of the town, which is the shoe factory, and I lived in a mansion, and young Sarah was obviously meant for me, I probably wouldn't want to go. But if you grew up in Arkansas, dirt poor, eating sadness and shame, then yes, that would be great.
Maybe that's why it seems so magical, because I was like, if only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where all three of us never went to boarding school, so it seems like this because wait, you go somewhere else and you're not with your parents and you have a dorm room and like your whole life is like this mini community with school. It's like that seems kind of cool. But if it's like a norm for somebody or a threat, it's like, oh, that's a totally different ideal. But yeah, like boarding schools always seem kind of cool to me.
Awesome. And I loved a good summer camp. Like I loved like, having a roommate. And, like,
yeah. You know, when I was a child, they have a boarding school in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Have you ever heard of this?
No, but
so it's
that's
paid
where the
for.
chocolate's from.
Yeah, girl. And it's like the whole idea is if there are less fortunate children who want to go to a really great school, the Hershey family, whatever, pays for them to live there, gives them full scholarships.
Now, is it a Willy Wonka situation? Because I ain't in for it.
Well, you don't like being diddled in a pool of chocolate?
Is that what Willy Wonka was?
I think so, don't you? Especially
the original. Is that what diddling means?
I think, in this context, Willy Wonka's a diddler, and you know it. You can tell, girl.
Interesting.
Gene Wilder also.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Now, the Willy Wonka remake, I do not think so. He's deeply crazy.
With Johnny? Mm-hmm. We're on a first name basis.
No, sure, no. Like me and Dwayne.
Exactly. Yeah. And me and Oprah. Is that her first name?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes.
It is. Okay,
it is.
I like when people shorten a person's name. Like, they're like, I was there with, like, Dick Nixon and, like, you know, like, we're, like, super friends.
Yeah.
Bob De Niro, you know.
Oh, God.
Homie.
People calling Robert De Niro Bob drives me up a wall because it's like, we're real close friends. You can tell because I call him Bob. I'm like, nah, let's slow down.
Someone should tell him, too, that Robert fits him much better than Bob. He doesn't look like a Bob. He doesn't act like a Bob. If he really goes by Bob, he should rethink his choices.
Bob's working factories, not
exactly.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Can I tell you, speaking of working in factories, can we talk about how Jumanji is essentially the story of two sets of privileged white children ruining the life of a hardworking black man? Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sarah also?
Yeah, well, Sarah less so. Yeah, Sarah doesn't really... Well, kind of, though, because when she grows up as a privileged white adult living in her mansion as a psychic, please, with so much privilege, because, you know, David Allen Greer, first, Allen ruins his whole sneaker idea, which would have made him a bajillionaire. He gets fired. His whole life is like he has to restart. And then as an adult, he's a police officer. And what did these children do? They left the jungle out into his little New Hampshire town. He had one nice thing, and it was a new police car. And what did they take from him?
That.
All of it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love when people scream things in this movie. Do you remember when the vines crushed the police car in half? It's been through a lot at that point. Like monkeys have shot at it, all kinds of crazy shit. And then pulls it into the forest, and he goes... I'm going to move back from the mic because I've screamed this. He goes, fine, take it! Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
Fine, take it. It's a really good line.
Also, like, when he finally got back to his shitty police car after he'd been shot up by monkeys and miscellaneous other things, people are coming over, like, the speaker to tell him, like, hey, go to such and such place. And he's like, no, I gotta go back to this one mansion and check some shit out. I would not get in that crazy bullet-ridden monkey car. You don't know what's happening.
He drives that shit without any kind of...
questionable choices, in my opinion.
Well, maybe he's stressed out because people in this town keep fucking him over, even though he's just a nice man.
Well, he needs to go take some of Sarah's pills.
Girl, no, that's the
She
truth.
got plenty.
Oh, I'm sorry, pills? I zoned out there for a second.
Pills brought you back.
So true. Okay, so boarding school, we're on the fence about that might be magical. So Van Pelt is a character that came out of the Jumanji game, and he was played by the same actor that played Little Alan's dad.
Yeah. Which, I have to be honest with you, I never, ever, ever noticed that. Even on my adult rewatch I did a few weeks ago, I had no idea until I started doing research.
That's really fascinating, because like one of the things that I think is really interesting is the Jumanji book. It's very like ambiguous of like, is this really happening or is this just like a figment of imagination? Whereas in the movie, it's like, no, this is like there's like foreseeable evidence that things are happening in the real world. So this idea of like the book almost being projections of inner lives of these characters is really an interesting twist on it.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, that gets to so much of the original Jumanji, because we're talking about like versus Zathura. Zathura is all about sibling relationships,
right?
And that's powerful. I have siblings, but the heart to me of Jumanji is that parent-child relationship, right? Because Kristen Dunst and Bradley Pierce, there's who play the kids. Their parents are dead, right? They're orphans,
right?
And then sweet little Alan Parrish, like the last thing that happens before he goes to the jungle for however many 40 years or whatever. 26 years, shit, is he has that huge fight with his father, and it's the first time that his father has ever like screamed at him like that. And so I do think, I mean, they have to have done it on purpose, that Van Pelt is what he sees his father as a small child. It's very sad, I think.
There was this really great moment too when what's his name? Oh, when Alan's dad, when he yells at Alan, and Alan was like, I don't want to go to that school. And his dad was like, parishes have been going there for 30 generations. And he was like, well, I don't want to be a parish. And his dad was like, well, you won't be until you grow up or something. And Aaron leaned in and he was like, I don't really think that's how the naming system works. It's like technically already there. Which I appreciated. Can we take a second to talk about what I think is the heart of Jumanji?
Oh, sure.
Robin fucking Williams.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Yes.
So sad. That, like you said, Jamie, that was definitely in the heyday of Robin Williams, where he was kind of doing a shit ton of awesome movies and just like being himself. And he was so precious. He like really threw himself into the roles he did. Like he was there for it 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's really, it speaks to like, especially like this era of his career where he was this huge movie star, like sort of against all odds, because he's kind of a weirdo, comedian who kind of like...
He is a weirdo.
Like, who became like this huge megastar in the 90s. And especially like the, triumvirate of like Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, and this movie of being these like iconic children's movies where he 100% like is still himself, but definitely dedicates himself to these roles of like giving them life and giving them texture and making these real characters, not just like, it'd be very easy to do these very broad and sketchy, but these are very real characters for him as an actor.
Mrs. Doubtfire opening up the minds of some young people to flamboyant homosexuals.
Because of course Robin Williams doesn't play a gay man, but is his brother or his best friend?
It's his brother.
It's his brother.
It works with drag queens, and so that's how he like.
Awesome. Yeah. I loved Mrs. Doubtfire. It gave you so many emotions. And also on YouTube, you can see great cuts of it as if it were a horror
movie, yeah.
Which also
hilarious.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about Robin Williams on set? There was a story in the Times last week all about the remake of Jumanji, and really, though, it wasn't about the remake. It was more about people talking about what it was like to work with Robin Williams. Okay, this blew me away. He would do a full day of shooting, and then every week he did 3 hours of stand-up. An hour and a half by himself, and then an hour and a half of improv.
Like on a stage somewhere?
At the local comedy clubs in Vancouver. And that's because he was allowed to be crazy sometimes, but not like Genie crazy, right? Yeah. He really had to kind of reel it in. And so even after a full day of shooting, this motherfucker had so much energy that he went to comedy clubs and performed after. I mean,
energy. He had so much energy.
You know who else has energy in the movie? We return to Robin Williams, but we mentioned this earlier. You gave me a good segue and I forgot. These ugly ass monkeys. That was the only thing in the movie, the original Jumanji. I was like, girl, she hasn't aged well. That looks like a video game. That's not good.
All the practical stuff I felt like was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The vines and stuff in the house, the flood.
And when you do stuff like in shadows a little bit more, like it's harder to tell and it ages better generally. And they did some good things in the shadows, I felt like, especially with the vines and some different like things with the house, like with the mansion. Somebody was saying that the other day. They were saying that's how you know the Lord of the Rings is really good and that it really holds up, the Peter Jackson movies, because there's a lot of things in the shadows and they use a lot of miniatures, but when you get to the final film, that battle at Pelennor Fields, it couldn't be brighter fucking light. and it still looks fucking awesome. So, kudos to Peter Jackson.
So, did they also do your retouches for photos? Because they look very lifelike.
It's deeply expensive, but incredibly worth it.
People wouldn't even know that you have a Tyrion Lannister lack of nose.
Well, no, that's life.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage is on my team.
Dinklage! Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Me and Dink, we're on a first name basis.
That's not how his name works, but that's fine.
Dink, Peter Dinklage.
Speaking of Peter Dinklage, not at all, actually, because I'm at a loss for a good transition.
Segues are hard.
They are hard, and I say just jump in, go thigh deep.
Just
People will go with you, generally.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I'll leave you behind, frankly. So, we talked about it being scary earlier. Can you think of any moments in particular that frightened you? I have a list if you can't, so don't feel put on the spot. But is there anything you remember scaring you as a child?
For me, I was right there with Sarah, like the first moment where he starts to disappear into the game, because the first thing you see is his hand, like, melting away. And I felt like that was one of the effects that held up really well. So that was kind of frightening as a young person.
And it establishes, and that's fairly early on in the movie, and it establishes this idea of, like, why this thing is dangerous. And I think that's really smart way to, like, establish, like, hey, this thing sucks kids away.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's the first weird fantasy thing we see in that movie, right? Yeah. So it really does, you're right, it sets the tone. Well, I thought, you may have forgotten about them, but you probably want to say it, you'll remember. The giant spiders, I think, are pretty horrifying. I mean, they're large enough, and they're like Black Widow spiders, and that they have that real fat body and those long black legs. So gross. That's like my least favorite kind of spider. And I don't even mind spiders.
What's your favorite kind of spider?
Ooh.
She-Love. I mean,
I do love me some She-Love. I do love me some She-Love.
Have you seen what they did with She-Love? And there's a video game that just came out, and She-Love's a sexy lady now.
She's a sexy lady. Which, I have to tell you though, girl.
No, there's no more elaboration.
I think this is wrong, because She-Love, I mean, you're right. That does exist. But what I'm saying is I have a problem with it as a super fan, because She-Love's mother's name is Ungoliath or something. And she was like a primordial spider who ate the Towers of Light or the Trees of Light or whatever, you know, back in the day with the Valar. Okay, so she's a shapeshifter. But Ungoliath is the mother of all spiders. Like, She-Love she's just a spider.
Right.
She's just who cares?
I literally don't understand what you mean when you say she's a sex. Like, is there a new game?
There's a video game where She-Love is in it, and she's like a character in the game. It's just a sexy lady.
But is it like Lord of the Rings affiliate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, what is it called?
Shadow of War.
Shadow of War. It's a sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which I'm trying to play, but it's too blurry on my Xbox 360 to see, and that's a problem.
Okay, so we did that one, so I'm familiar with Shadow of Mordor, no sexy She-Love, but in the sequel, just a bitch-ass lady playing a spider person.
Yeah, it's just a pale lady in a she looks like Elvira or something.
Yeah.
As if she could be a shapeshifter and turn into this person? I'm not there for it.
No, it's...
Who authorized this?
Yeah, that's a great... Warner Brothers, basically. So, anyway, sorry, total tangent, but...
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually just saw that last night on YouTube, and the, like, sharp, bitchy anger that I gave you when you were, like, when I was talking about that, I gave that times 100 when I was by myself.
Sure, no, absolutely.
I was screaming at the TV. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I'm having so many feelings.
Yeah, and I'm probably, like, the least Tolkien purist in this room, and it's, like, still, like, one of those things, like, why would y'all do that?
If you're gonna want to, like... fuck a shapeshifter, it's definitely not going to be She-Love.
No!
You don't want to be any part of that.
All of her She-Love pinchers moved down to her vajayjay when she's a lady.
Well,
that's where all the spiders went.
I can relate, but like, I'm just really upset about it. Like,
Morgan, do you have spiders in your vagina?
Well, I can't confirm nor deny, but the answer is yes.
There are definitely eggs, I can tell you that for certain. There might not be a real spider.
There's certainly a lot of cobwebs.
Can we get back to Jumanji? I'm real upset now.
Okay.
To be honest, literally don't know what we're talking about in reference to Jumanji.
Scary things in Jumanji.
Oh, yes. You didn't like the spiders.
So, well, I don't really mind spiders, but I thought those spiders were gross, right? And you remember when Robin Williams is in the thing?
I was going to say
he has to roll with his mouth? That's scary.
Quicksand is like a legit irrational fear, because when will I encounter quicksand? Fucking never.
Girl, in the forests of Arkansas you could have.
Wait, what?
There's quicksand in Arkansas. Hell yeah, there's quicksand in Arkansas. Because all it takes is the right kind of soil clay and the right amount of water.
I can't even with what you just said to me. I've been in so many woods. Jamie? What do you find?
Have you ever gotten caught in quicksand?
I can confirm I've never been in quicksand.
Wow.
I thought it was something that was just in like old pulp adventure stories.
Well, speaking of things that we've never happily experienced, the flood/gator scene, still scary to me.
Yeah.
That gator is huge.
Kid by the tail.
He sure enough did. And then, do you remember at one point, I forget if it's Robin Williams or Bonnie Hunt, but like their feet are on the gator mouth and they're sitting on the dining room table that's floating and they're all like going towards this giant alligator and it's just horrifying.
It's pretty scary.
I'm afraid of dark water I can't see the bottom of. It was very Florida. That's just life in Florida. I'm afraid of Florida too.
You should be.
Okay. What about, we haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm sure it scared Jewish children, the lion in the attic. Do you remember?
You know, a lion is not a thing I have an irrational fear of, but I did read that story at like one of the, like some famous zoo like a couple of years ago where some kids were like taunting a tiger or a lion, and that fucker got out. And
Good.
He took revenge on those bitches.
A lion peed on me once.
What?
No.
At the zoo.
Do tell.
Elaborate.
I was at the zoo and I came around the corner and there was a lady lion, a lioness, if you will, and she was like, "Hey, I don't want you to be here. I'm gonna pee on you."
Wait, she was just standing in the zoo? What the fuck?
And yeah, she was waiting for someone to come around the corner, and I was the unfortunate soul who came around the corner and got
was she
peed on.
behind a thing or not behind a thing?
No, she wasn't just like roaming.
Okay. We were both like, oh my god.
I would have really buried the lead. Also, I could have pet a tiger. Or, I'm sorry, a lion. No, she was in her cage, but she was like right up on it and like with her tail lifted.
The kind where they come real close?
Yeah, they can come real close. Yeah. No, the Austin Zoo, if you want to be peed on by lions,
Wait,
highly
they
recommend
still
it.
do that today?
Yeah, if you want to go, right after this, we'll go pee on. We'll pee on lions, and then they'll pee on us. It'll be a whole golden shower situation.
It's like a friendship thing.
Right, a lion shower, I like to call it.
She just like lifted her leg up and she was like, "It's you, buddy."
Yeah, it was me. I was the winner of the lion pee lottery that day.
I bet that smelled terrible.
I was gonna ask, did it smell like just urine or was it different?
I mean, not a whole lot of it got on me, but yeah, it was not a great smell. But yeah, no, lions are very scary because they might pee on you.
Well, that's the only reason.
Okay, so y'all weren't scared by the lion. To be honest, I wasn't that scared either, but I figure someone is, right?
Sure.
By the way, just about the Austin Zoo, just real fast, you know, all of those animals in that zoo are rescue animals from circuses or idiots who decide to adopt exotic pets, which is such a stupid
Against
idea.
Reply All to Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, you should all, if you're in Austin, you should visit the Austin Zoo. It's fun. You'll get peed on, and those animals are sweet babies. They're like orphans. Okay. So next scary thing. This is the last one, and this is the one that actually scared me the most. Do you remember when Peter is in that car and he gets crushed in the stampede? The car is crushed down around him. Girl,
that's real fears.
that like actually frightened me. Like that's actually scary to me. Maybe not a stampede, but because he's a small little boy. He's got the Jumanji game, and first he's in the thing, and then all these animals who you don't think of as being that scary until they stampede, they start running over the car and beating it down. So he starts off in the seat, and he ends up down at the bottom of the floorboards, can't move, and old Van Pelt comes out and steals the game away from him. Scary.
You know what was scary to me is when old Van Pelt went to the gun store and he wanted to get a gun, and they were like, "Y'all, they haven't made this gun since like 1922," and he was like, "That's unfortunate. I'll take whatever you have," and he just throws a bunch of gold down, and they give him like 12 semi-automatic rifles because hashtag America.
I'm about to say, are we sure this movie's not in Texas?
Yeah.
Shit.
You know what? That's also very upsetting because it's not very upsetting.
Well.
No, it didn't. It's played as a laugh line.
Right, it plays a joke, yeah.
It's not fun. It's almost like, do you remember when the car crashes into the grocery store and the shelves start to fall and they have to run from it? It's near the end. Things like that, it's not their fault. They had no way to know, but the gun store stuff, the people using cars as a weapon stuff, that's, I don't normally say this, but that's a trigger for me. It's upsetting. Right. It's not funny or adventurous at all to me.
So a podcast I like, All Fantasy Everything, they had some guys on from this other podcast as guests, and their podcast is We Hate Movies, and they talk about like movies that they can like, kind of like what we do, the things they can bitch about, but also like say the things they liked. And they said people listen to their backlog, and they talked about maybe She's All That. I think, was Paul Walker in that?
Oh geez, you're suddenly putting me on a spot for Paul Walker knowledge.
I think he was.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
That was the movie. or he was like affiliated with it. Anyways, they were talking shit about Paul Walker, and then they were like, you know what? Whatever. Who gives a fuck about Paul Walker? He's gonna like be just fine. And then like literally the next week he died. And so they say people go back and listen to their backlog, and they get like so much hate mail, and they're like, how could you say that thing about Paul Walker like literally 10 years ago? And they're like, we know it didn't age well. He was still alive.
Can I say, though, I was actually thinking about this while I was getting ready, because I am such a shady, like, rude person. I think it's one thing to punch up. If you're punching up at a celebrity, they've got so much privilege. They are O-fucking-K. It's another thing to punch down, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, and, like, I think celebrities, like, definitely, like, are open season for that. Paul Walker, I think, was generally one of the good ones, though.
I'm so sorry. I don't know who that is.
He was one of the main stars of the Fast and Furious films. And then he died in a horrific car accident when he let one of his buddies drive one of his super fast cars.
I went into, like, a Wikipedia wormhole about it when I was watching the Fast and
Furious films
franchise recently, like just this year. And there were a lot of disturbing things I could not click on because it was like, see close-ups of Paul Walker.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
it was super voyeuristic. It was really gross. But like one of the things about him is that he didn't take any salary from any movies. It was basically like, I only take money off of the profits that the movies make,
of which they had many.
Once the Fast and Furious films got like really popular, it's like, well, yeah, obviously you would do that.
What's Vin Diesel's real name? Is something really dumb.
I
like Marcus
can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, it's he comes from a very like well-to-do family.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, like he comes.
So does Julia Louis-Dreyfus. We were just talking about that. But no shade. I mean, good for him.
Whatever.
Great.
Is that Paul Walker in Hackers? The blonde I guess it's not. No, because you would remember. Okay. That's the only guess I have.
He was in the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, literally the only movies I've ever seen with Paul Walker in them are the Fast and Furious films.
Snow Dog movie or Zero.
I don't know what movie you're talking about. I was going to say the only other movie I saw him in was Timeline, the one based on the Michael Crichton book. It's real bad.
I didn't see that one.
It's the one where they go back in time to the medieval times.
Sounds awesome.
It's real terrible.
I missed it.
No, I would not recommend it.
Yeah, no.
He is and she's all that, according to
he's also in The Skulls. Did you guys ever see that movie?
I never saw The Skulls.
About the secret society at Yale that actually exists, though probably not how they showed it. Hopefully not.
No, I haven't seen that. I love a good secret society, though.
Girl.
That's why I like National Treasure. But also because of Nicolas Cage.
No.
That wasn't him in Hackers. I forget who that was. But
okay. Anyways, let's wrap up our Jumanji, the original one, talk. Do you have anything further about it?
I've got one more thing to say. It's kind of a long thing, so forgive me. But BB Newworth, as the aunt of those two kids, is divine in that movie.
Wonderful.
Can we talk just very, very briefly about when they move into the house, and then you have the best house decorating montage of all time?
She swept the floors herself.
Girl. She put her hair back in a bandana. She lit her lamps in her living room. She had that good music. Oh, kids are fucking useless. BB Newworth, if you don't know who she is off the top of your head, she played Lilith, Frasier's wife in Frasier, which everyone knows I'm obsessed with. She also, when I was telling Morgie this before we started, she played Lola. She was the original Lola in Damn Yankees on Broadway. So if you know that song, whatever Lola wants, ta, 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 Lola gets.
She Lola.
She was Lola. So people think of her, and even in Jumanji, she plays this kind of like tight-assed role.
She did.
But she's gorgeous, and she's an amazing, talented person, and people don't talk about her enough. She's a goddess.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm into her. I think the last thing that I have to say about Jumanji is that I really enjoyed a rewatch, and I was shocked by the Rotten Tomatoes rating. And again, Robin Williams is a treasure, and it was a pleasure to see him being himself. Jamie, any final thoughts?
As I told you all before we started recording, it's been a sec since I've seen this movie. I like board games. I mean, I remember liking that movie quite a bit as a child, and I think that it definitely captures that like sense of childlike adventure really well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that it is a sense with sort of this undercurrent of like, if you like think about it too long, it's like, that's horrifying that he was stuck in this game for so long and then gets out and has to do all this garbage to fully free himself, and then is set back to being a child on top of everything else. Yeah.
Wow. And then the first thing he does is like apologize to his dad when he walks back in the door, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then, like, as he grows, like, they do, like, a flash forward montage, and he's, like, talking to his parents on the phone. He's like, I love you, I have to go. So, like, whatever. I guess he's living his best life, so that's wonderful.
Got full body chills. Full
All
body.
right. Now we're talking 2017 Jumanji : Welcome to the Jungle.
Because you know what kids in 2017 love? It's Guns N' Roses references.
So now that we're talking about the sequel, which of course is really the impetus for this whole episode of the podcast, I want to ask you guys, we're getting a sequel as opposed to a remake or even a prequel. What do you think the stakes are going to be in this movie? And are you happy that it is a sequel? Because my thought is, best case scenario, it's going to be like Breakfast Club. Worst case scenario, it's going to be like shit-ass 90s Power Rangers.
It looks like, actually, frankly, a combination of both.
Right. Like, yeah, like, that's actually really interesting, like, those two, like, because, like, it definitely has, like, a Breakfast Club vibe.
With the detention.
So, I guess for anybody who's listening to this who doesn't, like, know the premise of the new movie, so basically there are 4 teenagers who are assigned detention, and their detention, because this is a movie, is menial labor. So they're like, hey, yeah, you guys got to go clean out the basement. It's like, as someone who works in education, you would never ask students to do. That's a janitorial job. Anyway.
And a
like,
liability,
yeah,
right? Just send children into the basement.
With zero.
So you send these teenagers out in the basement, and then in the basement there's the Jumanji, which has morphed into this video game console and this video game that's like supposed to be a sort of like 16-bit, 8-bit, like old school video game, and then it sucks them all in. But there are 2 things that are different. Like, A, it's a video game. That's the first thing that's different. And 2, instead of being themselves in the game, they become these avatars that are like these other versions of themselves that like are supposed to be sort of these, you know, bombastic like versions of it. So basically, one is Smolder Bravestone. That's who Dwayne plays. And Smolder Bravestone. And
good
then
name for him.
Kevin Hart's playing a character named Franklin Moose Finbar.
Okay.
Karen Gillan is playing Ruby Roundhouse, but is like straight up just Laura Croft.
Yeah.
Like a sexy redheaded Laura.
Right, exactly. And then Jack Black is playing Shelley Oberon, who's really interesting. Professor Shelley Oberon, who is the avatar for, in the real world, this, like, you know, prissy, like, popular girl.
There is so many it's very Breakfast Club.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, so you have, like, the geeky guy, the mousy girl, the jock, and the preppy girl.
Yeah, just, like hanging out.
Right, exactly. Well, they're in, you know, detention cleaning out the basement. And then they all get sucked into this video game, and they're in, like, these weird, like, other bodies because they have these preconceptions of what the names mean, and then they're like, oh, no, I'm the exact opposite of what I wanted to be.
I do think it's hilarious that the preppy girl ends up in Jack Black's body, and I feel like that's a joke that will play really well to me because I find that hilarious.
Right. Well, and I think, but the other one is, like, so all of them are like, I didn't want to be this. And then, but you also have, like, the mousy girl who's now the hot girl, and she's like, oh, no. And I'm just like, I guess, like, it's just such a weird concept to like merge. And so going back to your question, the fact that this is a sequel, I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand top to bottom why this is a Jumanji movie.
It could have been like named anything else, and nobody would have drawn a connection to Jumanji. Like, it could have just been
at all.
Yeah.
Like teenagers fucked it up, detention.
Or Welcome to the Jungle is a perfectly fine name for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, that's debatable.
Is this another Dawn of Justice situation where you're just like, what does that even mean?
Well, to be fair, I do love anything with a colon. Like, if a movie has to have 2 titles,
if a movie has 2 names,
it's unnecessary, and I'm there for it.
Actually, when Morgan and I met in middle school, that was how she first came on to me.
Right.
She walked up to me and she said, "You got a good colon." And I said, "For a few more years, girl, till I meet my Don Juan in the city," and he ruins that shit.
I thought you were gonna say she walked up to you and was like, "Welcome to the jungle."
Which is also applicable in so many ways.
You looked vaguely like Van Pelt when you were a small child.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lots of gravitas. Uh-huh.
Okay, so the characters that are kind of like noteworthy. So we have Jack Black playing this professor person who's
Professor Shelley Oberon.
by a lady.
It's a great name.
And then we have Kevin Hart playing the jock type who just keeps insisting, like, why am I so short? Which is just like a big Kevin Hart trope.
Right.
What's that girl from? Do you guys know her from anything?
Karen Gillan? I'm looking that up right now. She's
stunning. I can tell you that.
She's Amy Pond.
I don't know.
From Doctor Who.
Oh, interesting.
And she also played Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Mind blown.
She looks very different.
Well, yeah, she's not covered in blue paint.
Yeah,
so
badly applied blue paint. Oh,
okay, well,
shade.
I'm into that. And then, of course, we have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing the nerd turned, like, super buff dude.
Right.
What's that?
Well, I just wanted to say, as far as the Jack Black character goes, don't you like, no one can see this, but I've hung a piece of the newspaper on the wall, and I love having a visual aid. I'm going to do this from now on. This is great.
Oh, this is not normal?
No. Morgan posted a Facebook post about this article, and I literally read it in the paper like 10 minutes before. Wow. It was a magic moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Jack Black character, being a woman in a man's body. I mean, I'm not trying to take this too serious. I know Jack Black is not a serious actor most of the time.
And from the trailer, it's played as a joke.
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing that I think is interesting.
And I think it could be very funny. And I'm not closed off to it being funny. That is a funny idea, right? But I am just a little bit worried that because it's Jack Black and because it's a blockbuster, it's going to be played in the stereotypical, like, transgender jokes way, which I think right now in the world might not be the best idea.
There was definitely a joke of her checking the rock out inside Jack Black's body, being like,
Right, and there's this two jokes here, because the joke is not only is she a man, but she's a fat man. And, like, that's true, too. Right, yeah, exactly. Like, there's all these combinations of, like, ageism, like, you know, to our listeners, I'm a kind of chubby guy, so I don't think that these are all the same thing, but there's like a certain amount of fat shaming to the
for
joke
sure,
there.
That's not very nice.
Yeah. Like, and so it's one of those things where it's just like this combination of like hot girl becomes a schlubby dude. Oh no! Like, she's definitely the one who I feel like is most cast out of her comfort zone, and I think that the idea, guessing from the very like tropey setup of the movie. My suspicion is that, like, the idea is supposed to be when they're all out of their shells, they all learn, oh, we have all these things in common in reality. Like, very Breakfast Club of, like, oh, like, we all have different exteriors, but our interiors are very similar, and, like, our problems are very similar.
I will say, as far as, like, there are definitely a lot of problematic things with that situation, but hearing Jack Black say the things that prissy girl would say was giving me life, because so much of her disdain for things I can, like, relate to. And there was, like, one particular line where they were like, are you gonna help us do this, or are you too pretty? And she was like, I'm too pretty. I was like, yes!
And I do think that I really am enjoying this renaissance of Jack Black's career, like, between this and Goosebumps. Like, him becoming... I enjoyed that movie a lot, too. Like, him becoming, like, sort of like we were talking about Robin Williams earlier, like this sort of kid-centric comedian, which is really funny when you, like, look at, like, what Tenacious D was before.
Still wonderful.
Yeah, like, it's this weird transition for him where he's like, yeah, I'm playing very broad, I'm playing... And, like, all these actors, you know, have sort of a more adult background and are, like, really playing a very much more kid's role. Like, I think that it's much more of a basic plot structure, but I think all these actors have the chops to bring something to it. Yeah. And in different ways. Like, I don't think these are, like, Academy Award winning actors or anything, but I think that they are all actors who have a sense of, here's how you set up a character. Now, the other mysterious character that's on this visual that you have is Nick Jonas.
Obsessed. To be honest, I don't know the difference between the Jonas Brothers, but
Shut up. This is the hot one.
Girl, I don't know.
He's been the hot one from the beginning.
Is he the one that's getting married to Sophie Turner of Game of Thrones fame? Because one of them just got engaged to Sansa Stark.
I hope not.
One of them did. I don't know if it's him.
I think honestly, I would guess. I really don't know, so I'm literally just guessing, but I'm guessing it's Joe Jonas. Because he was the lead singer guy. Nick Jonas was the drummer. Joe Jonas was the lead singer. And then the older brother who no one gives a shit about.
I don't give a shit about any of them.
But look how pretty he is. Have you seen him shirtless?
In my picture, he literally just looks like any other person.
Oh, well, it's kind of a faraway picture.
I've got to point this out because I was looking up to confirm one way or another on this. For Nick Jonas's Wikipedia page, he has a whole section that's dedicated to quote-unquote public image, which I think is really telling.
Is this Nick Jonas?
That's Nick Jonas.
Does he do any other acting, or is this his
He was in Dunkirk.
Oh, I didn't see that. Was he good?
Okay.
Yeah, he's good in that. Like he's definitely like he's
trying.
He is trying to become
So
be
this is
musician
his follow-up,
actor.
Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Right.
This is follow-up to Dunkirk.
And another bit of important information: he has diabetes.
Oh.
He got diabetes when he was 14. It was a thing in all the magazines.
Ate so many of those fucking stuffed goose feathers.
Now, what the hell?
Sounds like things
That sounds like a disgusting thing.
Yeah.
Goose feathers?
They're rich people.
Do you say stuffed goose feathers?
What do you stuff? You stuff the quill?
That's your idea of a rich person snack?
I don't know why y'all are talking to me when you know fucking rich people eat the dumbest shit.
That's true. Escargot.
No, yeah, like in caviar. Like, it's like, we're enjoying this because it's expensive. Also, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's hideous.
The Jonas Brother life.
Right, yeah. Yeah, also, those purity ring Jonas Brothers.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
They used to all wear purity rings when they were the Jonas
he ain't
Brothers.
fucking Sansa Stark yet?
Well, they all took those purity rings off.
Yeah,
They took those off a long time ago.
Now they're having cake by the sea there.
Well, that makes sense. That checks out for sure. So what is his role? Because in the trailer, he doesn't say anything, right? It's just these people transforming. He wasn't in the Breakfast Club. He's he lives in the jungle.
Right, he's somebody in there. So we were just talking about this. I suspect he might be someone who got trapped in the game, and he is the.
But he's forever young and beautiful. What's his deal?
Well, I mean, he may have been a kid when he got trapped. Who knows?
He found the video game a long time ago.
Right.
Okay.
But it's interesting because in this picture, now granted, this is just a rando picture, but he's wearing clothes that fit him from the real world.
I just realized I'm using old Jumanji logic. He would be if he was someone who's from the outside world, he would have been an avatar. No, that's what I'm saying. Is that if this is a character in the game?
So what does he look like when we get back?
Right, exactly.
Ooh, and that's an awkward question to ask.
He looks like this.
We all know, we look different, but what do you look like?
Right.
Ooh, I wonder if his name is Sexy McHot Stuff.
Or his
I can tell you, his name
Winfrey?
Alex.
Oh, really?
His name is Alex.
My goodness. So he doesn't seem to fit in. I'm really interested because he doesn't have one of those avatar-y names.
Right,
so.
exactly. That's why I'm wondering if he is someone who got sucked into the game, but then...
Maybe he's the game creator.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he's definitely a named character and is in this publicity shot, so I think he's a major part of the movie, but he is not part of the premise that they've set up. So it's suggested that he's part of the game, but we'll see how that plays out.
Interesting. Okay.
I would like to talk a little bit more about the evolution of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's career.
Oh,
and,
sure.
the trajectory of it. Because I've said before that I think that Chris Pratt is kind of a modern day successful version of where we were going with Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Fraser was funny and attractive and action and comedy.
Right.
And it kind of fizzled out for him and shit didn't go well. And maybe we just weren't ready for that, but we've come back around to it with Chris Pratt, and we're all in on Chris Pratt, right? We're give him all the steroids, get him all hyped up, get him divorced from his wife. We need him single, and we need him in every action film. But he's also still funny. And The Rock kind of is fulfilling that role too, right? He is...
But opposite. Split side of the coin kind of.
Yes, he's hot, but let's make him funny. And so they've made him funny, and I just think it's a really interesting thing for him. Because does he do serious things? I haven't seen Ballers. Ballers might be a serious show.
I have also not seen Ballers because who has Showtime?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody's talking about that. But traditionally, right, he's playing kind of a comedy person.
Yeah, it's an interesting. So I was kind of talking about this earlier. When he broke. So I'm looking at his history now. His breakout role was in The Mummy Returns as the Scorpion King, followed up by The Scorpion King. Which I'm assuming a year later. Do well at all. No, I think The Mummy Returns did fine, but Scorpion King. For The Mummy Returns. Yeah, the Scorpion King was not a success. And then he did this series of... So after that, he did The Rundown, which is a movie actually it's him and Sean William Scott basically do Cannonball Run. Oh. It's really funny. That's a really great movie.
I love Sean William Scott.
Mm-hmm. And they have really funny chemistry. And then they did a remake of Walking Tall. So that was sort of his push to be And like literally there's a scene at the beginning of Rundown where he and Arnold Schwarzenegger are crossing each other, and like the idea is supposed to be Schwarzenegger is blessing The Rock at that point to be the next Arnold.
Oh.
Like he's trying to like pass the torch to him.
Not funny.
Have you seen Kindergarten Cop? Like,
It's got funny moments.
Okay, that's fair. And also Last Action Hero.
right, like he has his one-liners and stuff. Like Arnold definitely like leaned into like being like a cheesy action star.
That's fair.
So you have all these movies, and then like later you have some other ones like Doom and so forth. But I think the revelatory thing about
Tooth Fairy.
I was about to say the revelatory thing about The Rock was he did this small role in the movie Be Cool, where he plays sort of this effeminate, coded as gay, struggling actor, and he's legitimately one of the highlights of that movie. It's a sequel to Get Carter, and it's just like a really funny role for him.
Shorty.
Get Shorty, yeah, sorry. It's a sequel to Get Shorty, and he's just really funny in it, and he's really charming. And so I think at that point, people were like, oh, you're funny. Mm-hmm. And so he did a lot of sort of minor, like, so basically he became like the son. So he's in Reno 911, he's in Get Smart, he's in The Tooth Fairy, he's in The Other Guys. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
That movie's hilarious. So the whole premise of The Other Guys is it's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell are like these cops, and they're trying to like make it big, but they're not good cops like Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are. And they're like set up as like these badass like macho cops that you see in all the action movies. And The Rock's hilarious in that. Like it's just him playing into like the identity of who he is. And I think one of the things I kind of want to get into at this point is that The Rock's been really good about managing his brand as somebody who is big and macho and tough and is like a big dude, but also has a sense of humor about that.
You know what he doesn't do a lot of? Like any like sex stuff at all, or like relationships.
Rom-coms.
Right, yeah.
Like he doesn't do like even in Fast and Furious he has a child, but
there's no mention of
there's no lady stuff.
Yeah,
he's like an asexual.
That's a really The Rock is sexless. Like he is all action all the time, no time.
Crazy, right? Because even Schwarzenegger was like sticking it in sometimes.
Right, like he still had like
which was deeply
leading ladies.
And I don't recommend looking at.
You don't recommend sticking it in with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, I can't imagine that's sexy in any way.
He would definitely have a cigar in his mouth.
Right.
Oh,
No, but I think that's a really good point. That like The Rock. I mean, the one example I can think of is Journey to the Mysterious Island. Mm-hmm. Speaking of him replacing Brendan Fraser, like literally replacing him in that movie.
Brendan Fraser's career.
Yeah,
poor dude. Anyway, but like he's in that movie, and like in that movie, he is basically like coaching this young man on how to woo women, but he's not wooing any women himself.
Okay.
He's
where I bet he is fucking Ballers. That show we have.
Yeah, who knows?
He's definitely fucking Ballers.
that seems like a show that he definitely would be getting it on.
There's no way Showtime was like, we'll give you bills without sex.
He has a stripper girlfriend in Pain and Gain.
Oh yeah,
but it's not. But like that's also not a sexual thing. Like, well, it's sexual, but it's not even like a relationship. Yeah. you know, I love Pain and Gain.
That's really interesting. I was thinking while you were, because I haven't seen like any of the Rock stuff. I realize now I've seen like almost none of that stuff, which is no shade. I just haven't. But it's interesting. I have a problem with a certain kind of masculine man. People who listen know, like, for example, what's his face from Star Wars, who I hate?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Well, he's a generally unfair.
Really?
I cannot stand him.
Oh, I love Harrison Ford.
And I don't mean to yuck your yums.
No, that's fine.
Harrison Ford and Russell Crowe is another.
Oh yeah, I'm not into him.
They are men who remind me of the kind of straight men who made me afraid when I was younger as a little gay boy. The Rock maybe because he is kind of asexual. I don't know why. He doesn't scare me. I'm not afraid of his masculinity.
He seems like your buddy.
He seems like he'd protect me.
Yeah.
He seems like he'd protect me. If someone attacked me, I feel like The Rock would straight up help me. And I don't feel that way about Colin Farrell. Or wait, what's his name? Yeah, that's his name.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't mention Colin Farrell earlier, but
he
is in that
Gladiator.
same. Yeah. Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Oh, that's who I meant. Yeah.
Colin Farrell's that like Irish dude. Not to be confused with Colin Firth, my baby, Mr. Darcy.
Yes. Everyone except Colin Firth, I'm afraid of. Everyone.
Are you familiar at all with the work or public image of John Cena?
Some, and he's interesting too. I think
very
he's sexy as shit.
First of all, I'm not attracted to him 0%, which is a strange place for me to be. But secondarily,
to not be attracted to someone.
Honestly, I don't have a grasp of like what he is, like not who he is, but
right?
Like,
yes.
What is he? I enjoyed him
He's
in
a
Trainwreck when he kept getting angry and yelling at people and being like, "I'll find you on Grindr," and then Amy Schumer was like, "That's the gay one." That was enjoyable.
Yeah. Did you ever see Sisters? He's really funny in that movie too.
Yeah.
When he's talking about
he like plowed Tina Fey or Amy Poehler. I can't remember which one.
It's Tina Fey. But there's this hilarious bit. So like, there's so much of that movie is riffing.
Yeah.
But there's this hilarious bit afterwards where he's going through. There's this one part where it's like, my safe word is, and I can't remember what it is.
Right.
He's like going through all. Which
muffins.
which my favorite is. My safe word is don't stop. But like, he's really funny in that movie, and like, he's another guy who I see on the cusp of like doing kind of what The Rock did, of like doing these smaller roles, showing that he can be charming and being much more entertaining in those roles than he was like say in The Marine.
Honestly, though, he seems to be like better in small parts. I bet, like The Rock is like for sure like
a movie star. Yeah,
and John Cena is like a great person you want for like 20 minutes.
Well, the only reason why I brought up John Cena is because he had this like PSA that he did like maybe just last year, where he's basically like, "Hey, we're all America, and like here's some statistics about how like America's very diverse and like all these things." And like he's like a guy who's like built his brand on being very patriotic, but not being patriotic to the exclusion of people who may not look like him or sound like him.
Which is most people.
Which is right. Like that's the thing. I think he really stuck his neck out in a weird way of like saying
that's
like
good.
Like yeah, like he definitely like is a guy who like you were saying about The Rock, like doesn't feel like a threat. And I think that that both those guys are very cognizant of like, no, I don't want to be exclusionary. You know, and The Rock has said like, so this is where I'm going to talk about wrestling some.
I'm into that.
Hit it.
Into that.
When we talk about Dwayne Johnson, what we're talking about when we're talking about Dwayne Johnson. So Dwayne Johnson as a performer versus The Rock as a character. The Rock has said some fairly potentially like, regressive shit, and like has done some things like talking about how he likes to eat pie, but he's not really talking about pie, and how he doesn't like to and like what he vagina. Yeah.
Wait, they call it pie?
Yeah, as opposed to eating strudel. Like he'll refer to other people eating strudel, but he likes to eat pie. And so like it's stuff like that where it's like just like or like talking like dismissively about sex workers and stuff. Like those are all things that The Rock has done. Dwayne Johnson has not done any of that. And so it's this weird thing, and we're like... It's a weird place to be. It's a weird place to be, and it's this weird... So, there's another wrestler. One of my favorite things ever is that there's this wrestler named Randy Orton. Randy Orton's real name is Randy Orton. So if you're looking up on IMDb, there are two characters... There's a page for Randy Orton, human being, actor, piece of shit. And there's also a character page for Randy Orton, wrestling character. And they're two separate people.
Wait, did you say the real life one's a piece of shit?
Oh, yeah, he's awful.
Oh, okay.
He literally shit in someone's duffel bag once.
But, I mean, to be honest, who hasn't?
Who hasn't?
Can you really judge him for that?
That's fucked up.
Yeah, no, he's a real awful person. He also, John Cena starred in this movie called The Marine, and Randy Orton was supposed to star in a sequel. Problem being that Randy Orton's a real life dishonorably discharged Marine. And so the actual Marine Corps came out and said, no, you cannot have him play a Marine in a movie because we said you do not get to be a Marine anymore.
Nice.
And so they had last minute had to recast him.
Wrestling drama.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is about wrestling, though.
Yeah.
My favorite wrestler when I was in 5th grade, he was also very patriotic. He used to spray himself with milk. Do you remember this guy?
Kurt Angle? He's back. He's wrestling again.
No, you're kidding. I used to have such a huge crush on him, probably because he covered himself in white liquid. I mean, to be honest, it was incredibly homoerotic.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's
wait. Something
disgusting.
Yeah.
Something homoerotic in wrestling?
I mean, right? Oh my god. I can't believe he's back.
Yeah.
Like, not to be a basic bitch, but like... The Rock in real life, like, what's his sexualized situation? Is he like dating people? Or like?
Are you wondering if you have a chance?
We're both wondering. Yeah.
I've literally never heard anything about like his personal life in general.
I know he has a daughter. I'm doing the basic research I need to. Let's see, personal life.
Like, has he been divorced 4 times? Does he like natural blondes?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually really weirdly not sexually attracted to The Rock. Maybe it's because he's so asexual in all the things that I love him in. You know?
Maybe just one good old sexy roll and he'll win you over. You know what I mean? Like
I'm
a real
actually
sexy.
deeply scared that he would crush me if we hugged. And,
it'd be a good crush.
I'm like, what if we went further? Like, I would be dead.
You'd be happy though.
So he has been dating Lauren Hashian.
Who dat?
Who is the daughter? I was about to go this. She's the daughter of the drummer from Boston.
What?
Okay.
And they
must really love her.
They first met in 2006 while he was filming the film The Game Plan, and they've been together ever since.
Wow.
And they have a child named Jasmine who was born back in December.
Oh, he has a baby.
He has a little baby right now.
I bet he has a lovely baby.
And I bet he's going to be a lovely father for that child.
Well, he has another daughter already.
I bet he loves
a daughter that was born back in 2001.
Oh, damn. She old.
Yeah. So she's.
What's her name? Lang Lang?
Don't be racist.
Simone.
What? That's a flower joke. What's her name?
Simone.
Oh, that's a good name.
Well, that is a good name. So I just feel like, so he has all these great things about him and all this great chemistry with all these other people. Somebody he famously doesn't get along with, though, Vin Diesel.
Yes. He super doesn't get along with Tyrese Gibson. So have you been keeping up with all this beef that's been going on?
Are they cutting Tyrese out of...
Girl, he's
Please
mad.
give me
He's
the
all
Fast
on
and Furious
Twitter.
drums.
So let me break this down. Okay, so on top of being a giant rock fan, I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan, like top to bottom.
Naturally.
So, okay, let me see how they break this down. So after I think Fast and Furious 6, Rock said, hey, we just wrapped this movie. It was really great. I especially love working with all the women on this movie. Some of the dudes are great. There's some dudes, and here's one of those phrases that he uses that it's like one of those things like, what are you trying to say here? It's like, there's some of the dudes on this show who are candy asses. And it's just like...
Wait, is that like a Rock phrase? I feel like...
that's a thing that the Rock would call somebody a candy ass. But then Dwayne Johnson in an Instagram post said that. So he was like saying somebody's candy asses. So everyone was like, oh shit, he's calling out Vin Diesel and all this stuff. And then
his PR people were not all over
No,
because Vin Diesel is gay?
No, because
I thought Vin Diesel was gay for like a decade. I
did
must have
too.
read the wrong story.
I did too.
Like,
well, I mean, who knows? I mean, openly
Maybe.
not.
Okay.
He's got a baby named Pauline.
Does
Okay.
he
Name.
Paul Walker.
Does he really? God. Okay. Sorry.
I saw him on Good Morning America talking about him.
So Vin Diesel, like, to his credit, and there's not a lot of things I'll say to Vin Diesel's credit, he laid low about it. He, like, basically didn't, he posted some, like, subtweety things, but he was... About The Rock, and he was just like, just kind of, like, let it go, because he's, at heart, a PR person.
Okay.
Tyrese Gibson did not do that.
Which is very much his character in
exactly.
where he's like, I ain't got time for it.
So there's this question of like, was The Rock talking about Vin Diesel, or was he talking potentially about Tyrese and Tyrese's like on-set behavior? So this gets more complicated. Okay. So they're kind of having like a little like subtweety thing back and forth. Though
like recently, or like when the movie?
When that one 6 came out.
Okay, and we're already on like 7 just came out.
8 just came out. 8 just came out this year. So what happened then? So this is when it gets complicated. So this year it got announced that Fast and the Furious. Yeah, so The Rock and Jason Statham are basically getting the spin-off movie. And that's coming out in 2019. But that's when the next Fast and Furious film was supposed to be coming out. So that got bumped a year. Tyrese Gibson comes out and says, that's some bullshit. Why are you disrespecting the family? Which is like a huge theme within that movie, and also
it's all about the family.
It's all about the family.
I read these tweets, yeah.
Yeah. So you heard all of this. So Tyrese Gibson is basically like in this process where he's trying to like throw shade at Johnson. One of the things he said was, and you'll appreciate this, Morgan, he was like, when they came to us to make a Roman and Tej movie, we said no.
No, they didn't. They would never say no.
Right, exactly. It's one of those things like, either you're lying or you're denying us a movie starring one of the two most
interesting characters in this franchise.
I would just watch a Tej movie.
Yeah.
Literally. He's just played by Ludacris.
Yeah, that's the character that Ludacris plays. So Ludacris and Tyrese
Mm-hmm.
Gibson's characters are basically buddies in the Fast and Furious films.
Okay.
And what he's saying is that, like, we were offered a spin-off movie and we decided not to do it because we respect the family too much. It's like, either you're a liar or you cheated all of us of an amazing movie.
And Luda's in the background just shaking his
Yeah,
head.
exactly.
He's like,
Yeah. To his credit, Ludacris has stayed out of all of this.
Looks like a pretty good dude.
Another dude who I feel like I could be buddies with. And so anyway, so this gets more complicated because the issue that Tyrese has is that apparently he's in this really strong custody battle right now. And one of the issues is that if, like, the only thing Tyrese Gibson has going on right now is Fast and Furious films. So if he's not getting that money from that Fast and Furious film in 2019, he's not going to hold... The other thing is he came out with an album recently, and apparently The Rock, like, openly said that it was awful.
I bet it was.
Well, I mean, if it was awful.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I mean,
He's got to be honest. So it's one of those things where Tyrese is just, like, going after The Rock. And recently he basically said, hey, I'm not going to say anything more about this. I talked to one of Dwayne's people. He also keeps calling him Dwayne. Like, he spells it with, like, an extra E in there. And it's like, what are you even doing? Also, in one of his Instagram posts, he misspelled the name of his own character. And so it was like all these like different things going on. And so the bottom line is that there's dysfunction within the family.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the core of it is a personality clash between Tyrese Gibson and The Rock. And no disrespect, Tyrese. I love your work in those movies. I'm going to go with The Rock every time.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very excited about that Hobbs and Deckard movie.
Who doesn't want to see an action movie starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and fucking
Jason Statham? Yeah.
Who is amazing at everything.
Right. And he's so good in Fate. Like, I have a lot of issues with that movie, but he like any moment he's in that movie, he's like thoroughly entertaining.
My favorite scene of that movie was where he had the baby.
When he had the baby in the carrier, yeah.
He does like a full-on gunfight with like a baby. It's no big deal.
It's just a normal Wednesday.
Yeah.
So Beckford, what's his name?
Who?
That actor, the one who hates The Rock?
Tyrese Gibson.
Tyrese Gibson. I don't know. So I'm to believe that Tyrese Gibson, who's been in most or all of these Fast and Furious movies?
No, he's been in one more Fast and Furious film than Dwayne.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, that's...
Also, the one that he was in without him is the worst Fast and Furious film.
Oh, it was no good.
So he's obviously posing a little bit here in the family. But also, like, what? So he's going through child custody. He's lost some of his money. I assume there's divorce involved. But I'm to believe that if he doesn't have a movie in the Fast and Furious franchise that comes out in 2019, he's going to be so poor he can't get custody of his child? That's the story?
That's what he seems to be, like... subliminally like suggesting.
Interesting. So here's what I think is I don't watch these movies, so I'm not yucking your yums. I'm glad you like them. But if he spent all that money he made, he doesn't sound like a great father. I'm sorry.
Well, it doesn't sound like he's made with his money. Let's not jump to conclusions.
Well, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
But if he's saying like, oh, The Rock has a movie coming out,
I need this movie.
Yeah, I need this
now.
movie to keep my child. You know who else does that? Is Glenn Beck. Can I tell you that? And like all those conservative talking heads, what they always go back to is, what about the children? You want to do this to my children?
Oh yeah.
That's like a weird, useless argument that I really don't have any time for. So just to finish up this little bit, I've got one last little thing to say about the remake of Jumanji, and that's just that if you are a fan of Robin Williams, I don't believe he's appearing as a hologram or anything, thank goodness, because I'm not into that.
That'd be awkward.
It would be awkward. But there are various sort of clues about the years that he spent in the jungle. So I'm expecting we'll maybe find, a hideout that he made, or maybe we'll see a note from his character Alan Parrish, or they've said there's going to be something. So that'll be nice for those of us who love old Robin Williams.
There's like no possibility that this avatar is
the Alan Parrish?
Young Robin Williams.
No, that's not his name, because his name is Alex. So
he's extremely close to Alan.
That's true. He could have done changed his name so they don't find him in the jungle.
He changed his name, but barely.
Yeah. I don't know. There might be something. No, you're right, though. There might be something there, but they sure did make it confusing, if so.
That's crazy. Okay, well, I look forward to their little subtle clues. To be honest, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I'm not sure. And, like, The Rock, in general, makes really good choices. Jack Black has made some more questionable ones, frankly. But, I mean, like, The Rock was just in Baywatch, and I didn't watch that, and I haven't heard anything good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to ride or die for Jumanji, Colin.
But I mean, like, generally, you expect for his projects to be, like, good choices.
I generally expect his projects to be at least... I expect him to be enjoyable in just about anything.
Yes.
I think that this movie has a lot... Like I said, like there are a lot of things in this movie that I'm like, yeah, I'd go see that. It's probably not going to be my top 10 of the year.
Like, I don't know if we'll see it in theaters, but I'll definitely be watching.
You know, it's... You know, Sam and I like to go see Dumb. That's my wife.
My
wife. We like to go see dumb movies. Sometimes, like, we saw Goosebumps, and, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this. I suspect this to be on the same level as Goosebumps, of being, like, perfectly enjoyable, like, well made, like, with a cast of people that I generally like the work of, and then walking away from it, like, fully forgettable. Like,
that's fair.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, that's kind of what I anticipate for this movie. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's going to be offensive. Like, I don't think it's anything that's going to be, like, especially, like, hurtful anyway.
I'm thinking, that's my prediction, too. I think at worst, it's going to be forgettable.
Yeah.
At best, it could be fantastic. It could be fantastic.
And there's stuff in that that looks, like, really fun. Yeah, like, so I think that there's a possibility that it could be something that's, you know, fun.
Last little thing about The Rock, for me, at least. True or not true, Jamie? Does The Rock have pec implants? Or do you know?
I don't know that for a fact one way or another.
We've literally been talking about this for weeks.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Because I read / saw, you know how it is, I got into my brain somehow from someone else that when he was bulking up before he even became a wrestler, I think, he was like, yeah, my arms are... That doesn't sound like him. He was like, yeah, my arms are great, my thighs are great.
That also doesn't sound like him.
But I was like, I'm just not going to do offensive meathead stereotype for him because I like him.
Yeah, fair enough.
He was like, my neck is thick, whatever, but his pecs just weren't growing, and so he got implants so they matched the rest of his body.
In which case, he has to get him redone.
I've not heard that. So, speculation ahoy forward. More what I've heard of is that Dwayne may have had some help getting to the size he is now.
There's no way he didn't, right? Like, unequivocally.
No, I mean, but he's Samoan, right?
He is Samoan.
They get some big muscles.
He's built thickly, but even in his early wrestling career when he was stacked,
you see
he looked very natural.
Yeah.
And now he looks like what we're looking at over there.
He looks like a superhuman.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Chris Pratt has openly said, like, when people are like, how'd you get so buff? He's like, steroids and no food.
I wonder if his balls got smaller.
Oh, surely.
Oh, what a shame.
I know, right?
God, it's not worth it.
The Rock's pebbles.
Oh, no.
I will say the additional one other thing I want to say about The Rock before we move on. I'm very excited. So, y'all talked about, you know, the Shazam movie and one of the podcasts I listened to. He's going to be the villain in that film.
What?
He's going to
villain?
Yeah, he's going to be the character Black Adam, who is basically like the evil Captain Marvel.
That's
/
awesome.
Shazam. So yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, like I think that is definitely a different role for him. Working like he's played sort of this like fun, goofy character. That's like going to be a very different role for him.
Black Adam is rotten. He's evil. Yeah.
I always think it must be a really hard choice for an actor to join in one of the superhero franchises, because once you choose a character, unless you're fucking
Ryan Reynolds,
you're like locked
We
into
just gave him a pass. We were like, girl, we'll all
like,
forget it together.
He's got to be 3 different comic book characters now, because he was Green Lantern, Deadpool, and he was in Blade Trinity.
Oh yeah.
And now
he's reprising Deadpool in a much better way.
Which is really almost a 4th character, because the way they made him do Deadpool in that Wolverine movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I even forgot that he was Wade Wilson, and
he got his mouth sewn shut.
If y'all ever want to do an X-Men episode, you can call me back.
We'll talk.
That's a definite thought.
There's a new one coming out next year.
Yes, and we are actually doing an episode on it.
Yeah,
I'll get you up in here.
If you want some thoughts on X-Men, I can definitely get up in
there. But you know what I mean? Like, he chose that character, and The Rock is such an ideal person to play somebody in a comic book movie. So, like, what a choice for him to make.
To have to, like, dedicate himself to one of those.
So I hope it's
Black
great.
Adam, he doesn't have any facial prosthetics. He's not weird looking. He looks like a person in a black suit, doesn't he? That's what I remember.
He typically has hair, so that's the one thing.
I do have questions about the bald situation, because in his younger career he had hair. Was he balding, or is bald a choice?
Again, Dwayne probably had some help, and when you get help, sometimes that can affect your hairline.
Really?
Yeah.
Because more testosterone.
I never heard of.
Yeah, you have a lot of loose testosterone, and so you get this number.
Well, he looks good bald. Thankfully, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, he's got a good shaped head. So,
but he used to have that sort of Jerry curl situation.
Yeah, like a Jerry curl and kind of a high top fade up for a while.
Which I was into. That was cute.
That was vintage rock.
Yeah, when he was rocking my idea.
Fanny pack, tight turtlenecks. High waist, everything was working.
One of my favorite reaction gifs out there is that one where he's rolling his eyes and blowing out his mouth, and he's looking real cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. All right, well, we all look forward to seeing The Rock in all his glory and the future of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Why don't we take a trip over to the game corner and explore a different side of Jumanji?
Game corner, game corner, game corner, game corner.
Game corner.
I like games.
You're in the right place.
That's definitely a new sound bit we're going to use. Okay, so today we have prepared a couple of games to play for you guys. We scheduled for me to take it away with the very first game we're going to play, which is a little riddle-based diddly I've created for you. As you might recall, in Jumanji, every time you roll the dice, what comes up in the center of the board is a riddle, which then follows a horror that you have to deal with. I can't promise horror, but I can promise you bad riddles in regards to Robin Williams with this game I have created called Riddle Me Robin. Okay, so what I'm going to do is read you a riddle, and I want you to tell me which Robin Williams movie I'm talking about.
Do we have to buzz in? Let's say buzz?
It's a group effort.
It's collaborative.
Okay, we're two. Okay, good.
Group
I like
effort,
that better.
and then just tell me which Robin Williams movie I am referring to with this riddle. You got it?
Okay. I believe in us. We got this shit.
This man is not what he seems. He's playing still with food and peas. He's tall but small and often pouts. Science just can't figure him out.
Is this him in Hook, do you think? Play with peas makes me think of a food fight.
Play with peas.
He
Science
says
just can't figure him out.
You can't figure out no Peter Pan. How he fly?
Is
That made no
great magic.
sense. Happy
Play
memories.
with peas. Yeah, I don't have anything. The only other thing I would think, science makes me lean towards flubber. But I never saw that, so I don't know if there's any peas specifically in that movie.
I don't remember peas in that. There could be. There could be.
Yeah, so I'll let you make the executive decision between those two. I think those are both.
Okay.
They're very broad guesses, but I'm happy with either one.
Okay, let's go with Hook.
Okay, the answer is Jack. Do you guys remember Jack, where he was a man-child?
We have Jack disease and ages backward. Or no, he ages super fast. That's
Weird-ass Benjamin Button, the opposite land.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
God, I forgot about that.
That movie's so sad.
So sad.
There's no win for him.
When he's graduating from high school, he's a decrepit old man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's real depressing. I'm sorry I brought that up.
Yeah, tears.
I'm sad.
Liver of tears.
Okay, you guys got this next one.
Okay.
He's loud and proud and breaks the day. The men at war have come to say, he's a bright light who guides their way.
The men at war have come to say he's a bright light who guides their day. It's a good poem, Morgie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sounds serious, doesn't it?
That sounds very serious.
You know, at some point she might bring up that where he plays the teacher. Well, you know that
A Dead Poets Society?
Yeah, we need to remember that, but that's not this, I don't think.
Yeah, they're not going to war in that
Focus
movie.
is really your best, your strong suit. It's good.
Oh, you're being shady now. Okay. I didn't know at first. I was looking for a compliment in that mean bit of shadiness.
Morgan, can you do me a favor and read it one more time?
He's loud and proud and breaks the day. The men at war have come to say he's a bright light who guides their way.
I think this might be Hook. Because when you think about it, him crowing.
Oh, saves the day.
Saves the
bright
day.
light.
Bright light, yeah.
Third star to the left or whatever.
yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good guess.
All right, Hook.
Unfortunately, that is also wrong. It is Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Also another sad.
I'm about to say, these all sad.
Yeah, she picked up. What's the one where he works
No,
in the
but I
camera?
can't help his career. They generally are sad things.
He was good
So
at sad,
sorry.
too.
There's
And
a
creepy. He was a great actor.
Actually, there's several sad things. I apologize.
Fantastic.
Okay, next one. No people too small, no medicine unneeded. This doctor goes the distance to make sure his patients are heated.
What's that one where he makes them laugh?
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams.
Worst movie he ever did, I think.
Well, I don't recall any of the specifics, so I have no problem with that assessment.
Also a sad movie.
Also sad. Sorry about
And
that.
it has sick kids in it.
I love how you've taken like the comic of a generation. All of his sad movies.
He was a great serious actor.
He was.
Because he
really
infused
was.
comedy into like sad situations with that, which I think is important in life.
I think one of the most like heartfelt performances in any movie ever is him in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, that's
he's
such a great movie.
Such a crazy and like
Ben
emotional
Affleck's
performance.
first and Matt Damon their first Oscar. Yeah. Okay, next one. Undercover, under masks, he loves his children and has their backs.
Oh, this has got to be Dead Poets Society.
Literally, like, just pick any other movie.
Oh, okay.
It's Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, undercover, under mask, has their backs. Okay.
How many
Mrs.
ones have you
Doubtfire.
had?
Your prize. It's Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. He's hidden away in a dark, dark cave until he's found and sees the day. 3 wishes you'll have, but make them count. Don't spend them all just to flaunt.
Is this Dead Poets Society?
No, get out of here. That's not gonna find me. That's obviously Aladdin.
Aladdin is correct. Okay, last 2.
Okay.
A professor is he, dedicated to teach. No mind is too bright, no heart can't be reached. He'll help you succeed if you let him in. Put aside your broom and he'll help you win.
Oh my god. It's embarrassing that you did 2 that are Hook. But this is obviously Hook! No, that's Dead Poets Society, right? Is that not Dead Poets Society? Am I insane? Am I a crazy person?
I'll say it one more time. A professor is he, dedicated to teach. No mind is too bright, no heart can't be reached. He'll help you succeed if you let him in. Put aside your broom and he'll help you win.
That's Good Will Hunting.
It's Good Will Hunting. Okay.
That's Good Will Hunting.
Is the next one Dead Poets Society? Because if you didn't do Dead Poets
I think she
Society,
said
you made
earlier,
a
don't
big mistake.
Yeah, don't name any other movie. I believe is what she said earlier.
A teacher with heart.
Okay.
He fills your life with art, literature, and more. He's a true mentor. He'll take the fall when he's done nothing wrong. For you he protects. He's a captain so strong.
You take this one, Nick. I think you got this
This
one.
is mine?
Yeah.
Dead Poets Society!
A beautiful film.
Yeah.
A young Ethan Hawke looking awkward as fuck.
Oof.
But a beautiful film.
A lot of queer subplots in that movie,
Well,
too.
boarding
Very
school,
powerful.
am I right?
Boarding school.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those. Doesn't make
Yeah.
boarding school look great.
Yeah. Well, then that one kid kills himself. And
Yeah.
that's sad.
That sucks, yeah.
But Robin Williams.
Who also killed himself?
Yeah.
Never mind. Boarding school is awesome.
No, I say in defense of boarding school, that boy kills himself because of his parents. It's not because of the school.
Right.
It's because
Yeah.
his parents
We
are
should
bigoted and
boycott
horrible.
parents.
I think we should get rid of them.
Yay to boarding school, boo to parents.
That's the moral. Okay. Well, I think you guys mostly crushed it, except for your whole fuck ups. But the next game that we have scheduled is we got a little Marry Fuck Kill brought to us by Mickey Mick.
We sure do. So this first one, I'm going to give to you, Morgie. Then I'm going to switch over and give you one, Jamie. And then we're going to do one where you can both talk.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. So, Morgie, here's your first one. Marry Fuck Kill. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, okay. I know this is weird, but I really want to kill Eddie Murphy because he put a baby inside of Scary Spies
And then didn't want to be the father.
and did not follow through. So, ain't with me, ain't my baby daddy, not there for it. But Coming to America was a classic film. Also, that one where he's a cop, Beverly Hills Cop. Whatever, he's fantastic. He's dead, though. Okay, and then I have Jim Carrey, and I have...
Robin Williams.
Okay, I gotta fuck one. Okay, well, I'm gonna just... I'm gonna fuck Robin Williams because he killed himself and that's sad, and I'm gonna marry Jim Carrey because he's like legit crazy and I can't imagine our pillow talk. That's my choice.
Jim Carrey is, I think, more physically attractive too.
Well, I ain't into
You ain't into a man covered in fur?
I mean, no. Not
honestly,
especially. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
because they're
Robin
both
Williams.
like these childhood comedians that I love so dearly, with like Ace Ventura, and then of course everything Robin Williams. It for me, sex appeal, neither. But those are my choices, and I stand by them.
I support you in those choices, girl. Okay. This might be very difficult, or it might be very hard for you. Okay.
Maybe difficult or hard.
I'm not sure. Hey, you'll see what I mean. Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan, John Cena.
Ooh.
Marry, fuck, kill.
This actually is pretty straightforward.
Oh, okay. See, I wasn't sure.
Kill Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Because he undermined our entire, like, journalistic integrity in this country.
Also, he's scary.
Also, he's really creepy.
And gross.
So kill Hulk Hogan, fuck The Rock, and marry John Cena.
Oh, see, this is a surprise. Why do you prefer to spend your life with John Cena?
Because John Cena seems like a legitimate, like, I think The Rock seems very charming and very, like, likable. John Cena seems like legitimately like an interesting person that I would want to have a conversation with and can have, like, ongoing conversations with. So there's this television reality show called Total Divas and now Total Bellas, where you see his relationship with one of the other, like, women who works for the company. And he's, like, in this relationship with this lady. And, like, he's super fascinating. Like, there's all these, like, different things. Like, he learned Mandarin Chinese and, like, is a big history buff and stuff. Like, he's just a really interesting dude.
He's, like, really intelligent.
Yeah. Like,
that's a difficult language.
Right, yeah. So, like, he's just a really interesting, intelligent dude. Whereas, like, The Rock seems like he'd be a fun one night, you know, like, romp. John Cena seems like someone I could build a relationship with.
Wow, literally, you just swayed me, and now I don't know what my answers would be.
Yeah.
My question would be, whose breasts are natural? That'd be my question.
None of them.
Yeah, probably 0%. Yeah, 0%.
For sure.
Okay, so this one's ridiculous, so either of you can answer this one, or both, if you like.
As opposed to those last two.
Yeah, so. Those made sense.
Sorry.
One was comedians from the early 90s,
one was
the other was wrestlers.
I see, so this is just total bonkers all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so last one. A lion, Van Pelt, an overweight hippo.
I was really hoping you were going to say a lion, a witch, or a wardrobe.
Oh, no, that's a whole different podcast episode.
No, I know.
Listen, I have to tell you immediately, I'm not down with a hippo. I can't do it, Jamie.
A lion. I actually missed the last one. Lion,
so
hippo.
It's a lion, Van Pelt.
Who is like the old man.
Oh,
with
Van
the
Pelt.
gun.
A human being.
Yeah. A human, but Van Pelt.
But Van Pelt.
Yeah. And then the overweight hippo. He was the last in the stampede.
I can't with the
runs?
hippo. Can we just kill him and figure out the other two?
Well, you kill the hippo.
They're deeply terrifying.
They are scary animals.
Yeah, they kill children.
Too much mouth. Too much mouth.
I mean, the other is a lion and Van Pelt, though.
Yeah, like that's the thing is,
but if you marry a lion, he might be the king of the pride, but you know that lioness is in charge, which doesn't apply to you.
So what you're implying is that we marry a lion, fuck Van Pelt.
Well, yeah. Well, you want to be with him forever? I can't with him. Like, what are we going to talk about? The Second Amendment?
One night of wildness would be worth it.
It's plenty.
Yeah, plenty, and then get rid of that hippo.
I ain't messed up about the lion.
You're all into that? I'm into that life. I think that's a good, good choices.
I can get behind that.
Okay, consensus.
Right. Fabulous. So you kill the poor hippo, you fuck Van Pelt, that's a choice. And you both become Nala.
But he's got to keep the guns out of the bedroom. That would be definitely a rule that we'd have to have.
Yeah,
and he needs to brush his teeth first, too, and take off the hat. There's a lot he needs to change before I
think he should leave the hat on.
Okay, maybe pull it down over his face. Maybe grow the mustache out more so it covers more.
Facial hair. Okay, Jamie, we are ready for your game.
All right. Excited.
So, this is a game I have called "Can You Smell What the Bard Is Cooking?"
Yes!
Okay.
Which I have some quotes here. I really think that the next step in Dwayne's career should be for him to star in some Shakespearean films.
Oh my God, I love you.
And another aspect of this is that Dwayne is one of the greatest smack talkers of all time, with one of the exceptions potentially being Billy Shakes himself.
Oh, is he a fellow wrestler?
William Shakespeare. Though Billy Shakes is a very good wrestler name.
You're the best. I
Wait,
love
did you
so
just
much.
say The Rock talks shit about William Shakespeare?
No, I'm saying that The Rock talks shit almost as good as William Shakespeare talks
Oh,
shit.
yeah, he is a mad trash talker.
So I'm going to have some quotes here, and I want you to tell me which one said it. Was it Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or was it William Shakespeare?
Okay.
And then if you can name the film that these lines are from.
Ooh.
Or if they're from a play.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So see if you can name either the film or the
hard.
play.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. I'm going to do these in my best performance. With all due respect, Captain, when this whole thing is over, we're going to find a location, and I'm going to knock your teeth so far down your throat, you're going to have to stick a toothbrush right up your ass to brush them.
Okay, honestly, it sounds like something from a Fast and Furious movie because he was in like a police force situation, and also he thought he was eternally correct about everything. Which one? So he was in 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Yeah. So
You're the only one who's going to be able to do this part of it.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I'm gonna go with 7. Fast and the Furious
Good
7,
magical
which is
number.
called.
Fevidin.
Like, honestly, right now I can't remember what it's called.
That would be Furious 7.
Yes.
That's also incorrect.
No.
It's from Fate of the Furious.
Well, that was the 8th.
That was the
Hey,
8th
no,
one.
you were close.
Yeah, you were close.
One.
I'll give you a half point. So you get 1 point
get
for
a half
getting.
point.
You get 1 point for it being
Oh, that we
the
knew it
right
was
person.
The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be easy for all of these. just
Okay,
so you know.
great.
All right. Here's the next one. Peace, ye fat guts.
Sounds like a bard.
Definitely. Definitely think that's old
guts.
Billy Shakes. And then, what are the plays that his name starts with an F and he's real funny and he's a larger
Faustus?
man? No, girl, that's a totally different. No shade though.
A play that starts with
I think
F?
that's Henry VIII.
Oh, yeah, he's real fat.
You're real close. It's Henry the Fourth.
God damn it! Is there even a Henry VIII?
I don't know if it goes up to Henry the
In life, but not in Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
probably.
By the way, we're doing this research for me. Henry the Fourth seems to be primarily fat jokes, from what I can tell.
Oh, really? It's just body shaming.
Because Falstaff is in that.
Falstaff, thank
and apparently, like, everyone's just being like, "Hey, Falstaff, you're real fat." He's like, "Oh no." Like, that's that whole play. Apparently.
He's like a porg.
All right. Here's the next one. Jesus Christ has blessed me with many gifts. One of them is knocking someone the fuck out.
That certainly sounds like a Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It's a good guess. Yeah.
Jesus Christ has blessed me with any. Okay, and he uses the F word.
That's a good point.
Okay, there's really, frankly, not a lot of F bombs in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Well, it could have been from.
What about Pain and Gain?
Could be. I haven't seen.
We're gonna go with Pain and Gain.
Correct.
Good job, Queen.
All right.
Because he was a weirdo in that movie.
He is a weirdo in that movie. Here's the next one. I wish you all the joy of the worm.
Definitely Shakespeare.
In Love.
Shakespeare in Love. All the joy of the
Early
worm.
Bird. There's definitely. Oh, I don't know. For some reason, I'm drawn to like a Macbeth situation.
Oh, really? Like a witchy situation?
Yeah.
That sounds like something someone shady in Macbeth might say. I was thinking maybe it was Twelfth Night, but I don't know why.
Well, there's
That's
a lot
just
of
the first-
forest in Twelfth Night, and that's an excellent play. Or like a Midsummer Night's Dream.
I don't think it's in that.
Okay.
Well, I could be wrong.
Let's
I
go
could
with
be wrong.
Twelfth Night.
Do you think?
We're going Bard
Okay.
and Twelfth Night.
Correct on the Bard, incorrect on the play. It is Antony and Cleopatra.
Oh, Never
Oh,
gonna
shit.
get
No,
that.
no. The forgotten Shakespeare.
All right. This is one I will be impressed if either of you are able to get. I hate penis-eating minnows and I hate freaky fruit.
I'm gonna go with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? Penis eating minnows and something freaky fruit.
I hate freaky fruit.
I'm trying to think of all the things you said he was in earlier. I'm going to guess Fast and Furious 5.
No.
Well, that's all I have. I have nothing else.
Something that The Rock was in. It sounds like maybe something early. What
It's not
about
the
like
Mummies,
Be
though.
Cool?
Oh, it could be Cool.
We're gonna go with Be Cool.
Yeah.
It's The Rundown.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see that.
That's one of those ones where I was like, I doubt y'all. Like, especially when I mentioned it
Why didn't
earlier,
you
and I
know?
was like, no lip thoughts recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh
Give you the
no.
blank faces.
All right. Here's the next one. If you wear a dress and have an animal sidekick, you're a princess.
Sounds like a tooth fairy thing, maybe. Because he wore like a tutu in that.
Oh, that could be.
Or like one of his other kid films. I can't think of another kid film besides like Moana. But that's... Oh, Moana? Wait, say it one more time.
If you wear a dress and have an animal sidekick, you're a princess.
That's definitely Moana.
That's Moana.
You're totally right. That's Moana. That's our guess.
We're going to go with Moana.
Correct.
Yes!
John, you're killing this game, Morty.
Also, by the way, I just want to throw this in. Moana's great. That's
so
such a
great. We didn't talk
fantastic
about
movie.
that.
So good.
They were like, The Rock, if you could just like talk, sing for like 3.4 seconds, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Also, for a
And it
Lin-Manuel Miranda song, like,
Yes.
so good.
I wanna be shiny.
Right? That was the
That's the best part of the whole. Oh my god, I love it.
Jermaine. Oh my god, yeah, what a winner.
No, this one, I want you to pay attention because this is maybe the deepest shade of all these quotes I've had.
Excellent.
Probably Shakespeare then.
I must tell you friendly in your ear, sell when you can, you are not for all markets.
What are the Shakespeares in which there's that real snippy Beatrice? What's her name? Beatrice?
Beatrice was in Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, I don't think it's... I just saw that and I don't remember that line. But that sounds like a Beatrice line. Or maybe a Falstaff? It could be Midsummer. No. Oh, no, it could be one of the lovers in Midsummer. That sounds pithy, like something I'd say.
There was a lot of shade being thrown around in Midsummer.
Callista Flockhart said that, maybe.
Oh.
Damn,
Honestly,
girl.
I don't know.
That could even be like Reagan and King Lear. Like, I have no idea.
I like Much Ado. There's a lot of shade in Much Ado.
Let's say Much Ado then. I think it's a
We're
good guess.
gonna go
Good, strong
with
guess.
Bard Much Ado About Nothing.
So close, as you like it.
Okay. We were super close, though. I'm going to give us a quarter point.
Last one.
We're on the track.
Villain, I have done thy mother.
Villain, I
Interesting.
have done thy mother.
Villain?
Certainly sounds like a bard. Is it
Sounds
a
like
weirdo?
Shakespeare.
Is it a weirdo rock?
Oh! Villain, I have done my mother.
Done thy mother.
Thy mother. Is that Hamlet?
Oh.
No, but who would say that? No.
Done what?
No, yeah. That's a death. Who is a mother who gets killed and they would say something to son or daughter? Villain, I have done thy mother. I don't think they mean sex. I don't think Shakespeare used it that way.
Or like they lied about it anyway. Like they didn't necessarily do it. Shit. Iago is like popping to mind, but I don't think it's Othello.
I don't think Othello's mama comes in at all, does she?
No, there's like no parents. It's all just like friendship nonsense and sex.
You know what? I'm weirdly gonna guess King Lear because I
Okay,
know there's a
I'm
mom
fine
in
with
there,
that,
and I
'cause
know
I
there's a
don't know.
bastard. And
We're gonna go with King
Lear.
Unfortunately, not true. It is the true answer is probably the most fucked up Shakespeare's play, Titus Andronicus.
Oh, with the twigs.
Yeah.
Oh, with the twigs. We should have known the twigs.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
that's
Titus Andronicus is a fucked up play.
My friend Allie just played that, or she didn't play Titus, obviously. Well, not obviously, but she just played that.
Right.
She was telling me some stories about it. It can be a difficult play even to act because it's so dark. You know.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking about Shakespeare and The Rock with me.
What a great game. Thank you for curating that. Mickey has created one final game for us to play real quick.
Great.
Yeah, we love when guests bring games. We really appreciate
problem.
it. It's so much fun. Okay, so this last game, it's a pretty quick one. It's called Monopoly or Malediction. And so the general idea is I'm going to give you a name. You tell me if it's a vintage board game or if it's a curse from Harry Potter.
Oh!
I think between Morgan and I, we'll be able to figure this out.
I believe in you guys. I really, really do. And I think you're going to do really good. Okay. Mors Mordra.
That's Harry Potter.
Okay, Harry Potter.
Do you know what it does? You're right. You're absolutely right.
Isn't it the Death Eater call?
It
or the symbol? Yeah.
Conjures the dark mark.
Yeah, dark mark.
Mors Mordra. Okay. Verso Recto.
I don't know that one.
Verso Recto?
Sounds like it must be a board game.
I've-
Or like a spell involving your anus.
I've never heard of it, but you are the Harry Potter expert. As far as I know,
It's weird because it sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Right.
But I don't know
but
it.
you don't recognize it.
Right. Can we go with board game?
Let's go with board game. That's fine.
I'm going to go with board game.
Board game.
Yeah, you know I'm a sneaky motherfucker. You got it. It is a board game.
Yay!
It's some kind of strategy board puzzle game.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's not outside of my purview.
Excellent description.
This next one is really good. It's called Hop.
Also sounds like a board game.
I love this idea of like Ron Weasley, someone just be like, ha!
If any fucker were trying to do that spell,
It's only Ron. That's a Ron Weasley spell. Sunshine Daisies Buttermellow.
But all that said, I believe we're gonna go with board game.
Yeah, that's a good answer. It is a board
like
game.
an Easter
Absolutely.
board game.
It's kind of like Proto Frogger. It's about frogs jumping across lily pads in a
Oh,
pond.
fun.
Yeah, and it's got Oreos.
Nice.
Hop. And an exclamation point.
Excellent.
Okay. Calvario. Calvario.
Also sounds like a board game.
Yeah, I think that's a board game.
Good guess, but wrong. It's
Oh,
the hair
jeez.
loss curse.
Oh no.
Calvario.
They made that up.
Oh, girl, I found it on Pottermore.
Well, it was a post-text informational piece.
Maybe not. Okay. Locomotor Wibbly. Locomotor Wibbly.
Are you including German games as part of your
There could be German games. In fact, yes, games from all over the world, actually.
Locomotor Wibbly?
The Wibbly part makes it sound like a board game.
Yeah, that doesn't sound quite Latin enough.
Yeah.
Locomotor Wibbly. We're gonna go with board game.
I could see why you would say that. This is a sneaky one. It's the Jelly Legs curse. Locomotor Wibbly. Oh, my legs are jelly. You don't remember that part?
Deeply upset right now.
Morgan is furious.
It's like, what have I done with the last 9 years of my life?
So basically, the rest of the night you're gonna be like memorizing every Potter spell you can.
I'm gonna be like, baby, don't talk to me. I have work to do.
Important work.
Okay. Batu. Batu. I could be saying this wrong.
I'm gonna say board game.
Oh, should I give you a hint tonight?
No, you're fine.
Yes, it is a board game. It's the Korean online-only version of Go.
Oh.
Yeah. Batu.
Go?
Yeah, like that board game Go.
The one where you have the white pebbles and the black pebbles and you have to put them...
It's like an ancient game.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
a Chinese game.
proto chess, kind of. It looks like kind of like Mancala, but on like a chessboard, right?
Okay.
It's on like lines, yeah.
Yeah,
sort of.
something like
I
a
have
chessboard.
not played that.
I haven't either. It's supposed to be really good. Opugno. Opugno.
Now, I don't know this spell, but it sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
It also sounds like it could be one of those like
Dumb Korean games.
Why do you be hating
that's
Korea?
A, racist, and B,
Call her out.
I think it sounds like Othello or Go or something where like it's like simple like.
Okay, we're gonna go board game.
Board game.
Board game. That is actually a spell.
Okay.
And it's a spell that directs an object or individual to attack a victim. In the Ministry of Mysteries? Is that
You're actually
The
recognizing
Department
this
of
one.
Mysteries.
Yeah, Department of Mysteries, they make something attack
That
someone.
sounds right.
Opugno. Okay. Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't believe you more.
No, that's okay. I mean, my track record, you know what I mean?
I also made this really hard, I think. Ludus Latrun Colorum. Ludus Lan...
It's got all the markings for a spell, but again, I don't know specifically what it would be for, but like, what fucking game would that be? It's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words for a game, unless it's like some very specific like World War II battle simulator thing. I'm gonna default to spell.
We're gonna go with
so many
spell.
words.
Yeah, I fucked with y'all's minds. So it's an ancient board game. It was a Roman game. That's why it's in Latin. It was a Roman game.
Sure.
And it was kind of like chess. They would play it like in the dirt.
Cool.
Okay.
It's like dirt chess.
Exactly, dirt chess.
We're familiar.
Which is actually my nickname in some circles. Okay, last one, my friends. Flagrante.
If you don't immediately recognize it.
It does sound like a spell. Again, I can't like tell you exactly what it would be for, but it sounds like definitely a thing you could emphasis with a wand.
Sure.
We're gonna go with spell.
You're going to spell? I'm going to spell. I want you to imagine you're going into Gringotts, and you go into Bellatrix Lestrange's little vault, and I think it's her vault, and you want to pick up these trophies, but they are suddenly hot, and they're also multiplying.
They're actually the Hufflepuff Cup by Helga Hufflepuff, but that's fine.
Well, it's nice to know that Morgan does know something about her.
Something or other.
No, so it
That's what makes them multiply?
it's what makes them hot. It makes them like hot to the touch or something. Yeah, I don't know what makes them multiply. Multiplicito.
Yeah, that's the one. Wow, I feel like an idiot. And also simultaneously beautiful.
It just means you're not a gigantic nerd. You're just
it feels so good.
To be frank, I mean, I looked all of those up on Pottermore and wouldn't have known any of them.
Dude, Pottermore has like a trove of information, including all those wizarding schools I never heard of.
That we talked about last episode.
Because they're not in the books. It's just extemporaneous information. You know, it's just too much to remember. So I have to quit my job and learn all of that stuff now.
Good job, my friends.
No problem. Thank you.
Right.
That was an awesome game.
Yes.
Thank you for leading us through that game. I think that kind of wraps up today. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, great to be here.
I legit had so much fun talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. One thing we didn't touch on, his first name? Dwayne?
Well,
what a weird name.
And it's like, for being like such a big tough guy like Dwayne, I think it like has like this nerdy connotation. But at the same time, for him to at some point like be like, no, that's my name. I'm just gonna own that. That's gonna be my movie star name.
For sure.
It's like really like, because he's not like, people call him Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's not what he's credited as anymore.
Yeah,
it's
just
like,
Dwayne
he's
Johnson.
always Dwayne Johnson and everything.
Well, he'll always be The Rock in our hearts.
Right, of course.
Amen.
Yeah.
DTRJ.
Yeah, obviously. Lots of initials. So we're excited about his career. We're excited about Jumanji : Welcome to the Jungle.
Which, by the way, comes out December 20th.
December 20th.
It's like Christmas this year, yeah.
Yes.
It's like a Christmas blockbuster.
We always go see a movie on Christmas. Maybe we'll go see that one, Mickey.
Sounds great.
Like,
I love
literally
it.
for like the last 5 years, we've seen a movie on Christmas.
Sure.
So, like, we'll have to do that. Anyway, it's been great. Reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or corrections. We're always there for that. You can find us on our social media at BNBcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Send us an email, beautyandthebpodcast@gmail.com. Jamie, do you have anything you want to leave your peeps with? Any findings?
We'll see. Whenever this goes up, it might be active again. I have a blog where I try to watch every episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. What's it called?
It's called Cowabunga.
It's called Cowabunga!
Which is maybe the best thing about it is the name. I came up with the name. I was like, well, now I've got to make this thing.
It's literally the best blog name ever.
So that's going to be cowabunga.wordpress.com. You can find it there. I might snatch that URL at some point. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, my. Hopefully I'll get back on that. I hit an episode on that, which is so bad that I've been just like how to even write about this thing.
Yeah, it's tough.
So hopefully that'll be back up soon. Other than that, you can look at pictures of my dog at Rickman the Puppy on Instagram.
He's pretty cute.
He's pretty cute. I'm the Kid Nixon on Twitter, but I never put anything on there. So feel free to follow me, but you'll be disappointed.
So
as with most things.
Definitely check out cowabunga.wordpress.com. There's some deeply homoerotic turtle things happening.
Yeah, weirdly.
That you can learn about and hear Jamie's perspective. Really good stuff there. Really quality blog. You guys can find our blog on bnbcast.wordpress.com. Mickey, you want to plug your blogs?
Yeah, sure. If you would like to hire me to be a freelance anything in your life, I'll do anything. I'll paint your walls. I'll scrub your floors. Mostly I'm good at writing and editing, but whatever. You can check me out at john.mikel.parker@wordpress.com. That's my freelance blog. Are we doing plugs right now, Morgie?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this is such a dumb plug, but I can't help it, okay? So people who've been listening to the podcast know I'm obsessed with Frasier right now. I know it's strange, but it's just where I'm at. And I've started watching Cheers because I like Frasier so much. If you, like me, are obsessed with Frasier but really don't give a shit about Cheers, he comes in, first episode of season 3. He looks so fine. He is so young. He's like 15 years younger than we know him in Frasier. Well, 11. And it is worth a watch. So don't even worry about the first 2 seasons. That shit's dated, no offense. Start with the 3rd season, and you can get your Frasier love even after you've binge watched all of the Frasier that is on Netflix.
You weirdo, I love you.
Whatever, I love you too.
You guys can find me on Instagram at more Gandalf. That's like Gandalf, but when you need more of him, because also hashtag same. And you can follow my writings on goread.com, where I write for their personal page, and I do all the news segments, so I'm on there. And then if you want to find any of my other stuff, just Google me. And I would like to plug today a thing that is close to my heart, Savers and thrift stores in general. Because, girl, it is fucking winter up in Texas today, and I wouldn't have no jackets and no sweaters if I didn't buy them secondhand. Also, fiscally responsible. Also, secondarily, really good to keep clothes out of landfills. So support thrift stores, buy secondhand. Don't spend $40 on a dress you'll wear one time. Go to the thrift store.
Especially if you're just going to spill wine all over it. What's the point?
No, I bought this whole, full price.
Oh, shit, you're a hypocrite.
Well, what can you do? Anyways, we love you, babies. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
You have a home? Beauty in the Bitch.
You look
Beauty in the Bitch.
Beauty in the Bitch.
Bitch.
Bye.